Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Unamento, M, Iron26, Eric Trosh, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dale West Watson, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive, huge thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Gilded and G+, so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Joined, I've heard these sayings over and over and over again. But then, I decided to take a little more closer look, right? There's a lot of things people say, but
What are
is
we
it
talking
as they
about?
say it is, right? Talking about
What
the
are we
firmament,
talking about?
Neil.
Oh,
Talking about the
righteous. Are
firmament.
you serious? Going to continually with that? You're going to continue on with that? Come on.
I'm just telling
You're
you
wrong about it.
what I'm saying. I'm not saying about wrong or right or wrong. I'm saying just look into it, right? Like, what's his name? On Joe Rogan says, oh, what's his name? He says, just look into it, right? Eddie Bravo. There you go. Just look into it, right?
You've been looking into it since I've been a flat earther.
All right, tell me about it, Neil.
There's nothing to tell.
Okay.
It's obvious to a duck.
That's what our proponents say in this community, right? They say the same thing. They say it's obvious. And then they stop at that. And they don't even explain or show why.
Righteous, you didn't explain nothing. I don't understand why you think you got an inside track on this. You didn't
didn't
explain
say
anything. Every single person said it was a train wreck, except you.
All right, point out where.
Righteous, I'm not going over this again. I was pointing out to you the day you did it. In the chat before it even started.
Right. But didn't I just point out verbatim? Didn't I just quote scriptures basically
No, you
100%
didn't.
verbatim?
You misquoted
All right.
scriptures and used them in the wrong places.
All right. All right. Well, tell me how.
What's up, John?
Hey, I thought my sound went out. What's going on, guys?
Waiting to hear what's going on with my car. Hey, what was that thing you said might be wrong with it? So I know when I talk to them.
All right. Are you talking to me or to John?
What was that?
Voltage regulator.
Come back?
Voltage regulator.
Voltage regulator. Okay. Got it.
Hopefully you guys can keep chatting. I'm just putting a little bit of electrical tape on my projector lens. It keeps slipping out of focus. So I'm hoping I can gaffer tape it in place. Back in
Gaffer
2 minutes.
tape. That's that white tape that or black. They call it stage tape in the theaters, and that's the best tape, man. Every time I work in the theaters, I get about 3 or 4 rolls of that tape. So where do we go from here, John? We just keep going forward? You think our opposition? Do we have any opposition anymore, or are they in hibernation?
I think they're just kind of waiting, like coiled snakes, for us to make a mistake.
How can we make a mistake? We're pointing out truth. We're unveiling a lie, right?
Everybody makes mistakes, Neil.
Well, the only mistakes you can make is start making assumptions of what things are when you don't know. It's not bad to not know.
Not know what now?
I said it's not bad to just not know. Like the sun, we don't know. The stars, we don't know.
Okay.
Cause of entropy, we don't know.
Where are you going with this, Neil? It's okay to not know. Okay.
All right. Well, John said they're waiting for us to make a mistake. I said, how are we going to make a mistake when we're just pointing out truth, unveiling lies, and we're not going outside of that and making assumptions on things?
Have you guys ever been caught in making assumptions and then finding out that you did make an assumption and you didn't know it?
Of course. Throughout this debate, there's plenty of examples.
Right. So there could still be a couple of more examples lingering around, right?
There's always going to be situations where you find out you've assumed something that you shouldn't have.
Where you going with this, righteous? Back to the firmament?
What are you saying, Neil?
Yes, you are. I know
I'm
you. You're
just,
like you're slithering in, trying to
I,
get the firmament
I,
in there.
no,
You,
no, no.
you listen,
There's
righteous.
Neil,
You need to get a
Neil,
proper handle on the word of God, like Tent said.
Neil. There's other examples, even in like the FE community. I noticed when it comes to like talking FE stuff. There's plenty of examples. There's
Okay.
examples in all kinds of things. It's a broad stroke kind of thing, okay? And I know
Okay,
you
but
don't want
you
to
were
talk
going back to
about
the
that,
firmament.
so we don't need to go back. I noticed you don't want to talk about it, so I'd rather not push it.
Talk about whatever you like.
But tell me I'm wrong.
Neil's not the arbiter of what gets talked about. If it's related to Earth, you can talk about it.
No,
I don't.
God's
I encourage you to talk about anything
God's
in regards to your views on the nature of Earth.
remember
includes
Paul
the
said,
sky.
"Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind." Right, Neil? So if you're persuaded
What does
that
that
way,
have to do with the firmament? That's not what he was talking about.
well,
Again,
it
you're
means we're not to
misquoting
argue.
scripture.
It means we're not to argue about it. If you're persuaded one way, that's fine. I mean, that's what Paul said. Let every man be fully persuaded in their own mind. other
Okay,
words,
what
doesn't
was he
want us
talking
fighting.
about? What was the context of what Paul was talking about there? Who was he talking to? What was the context?
Thank you, Neil.
The
Good morning.
context. The context was
I can't
the
remember saying
context
that,
was
to be fair.
conscience.
Conscience
Hold
on
on,
what?
Paul.
On
The
holy
other Paul.
days and meats to eat?
Hold on, Neil. I want to actually hear what Righteous says in response. Sorry, Paul. Can you go after Righteous's response? Hold your tongue just 1 second, Neil. Can you repeat your last
Like somebody
statement,
was gonna
please,
respond to me.
Righteous?
Right. Paul said, "Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind." Right.
Okay.
He said that
Not
once.
non-biblical Paul, the one on the panel. Go ahead.
No, not
I just-
non-biblical
yeah, I
Paul.
don't
Biblical
remember
Paul. We're
saying
talking
that.
biblical things.
Righteous. Paul, go ahead.
That was just a joke. Doesn't matter.
Neil, feel free.
What was the context and what was he talking about?
He was talking about the conscience, right? He said, "One day may esteem one day above others," right? And others
Okay.
may esteem every day alike, right? So two opinions
Okay, what does that have to do with the
or two
firmament?
viewpoints, right? Yeah,
Thank
but
you, Neil.
even with this, there's two opinions. Hold on a second. Even with
I'm
this,
just
there's two
thanking
opinions.
Neil.
There's one that say it's at home.
Gosh.
Well,
Righteous.
have I
It
finished?
says in the
Like,
Bible, righteous. It says in the Bible, Judas went out and hung himself. And another place it says in the Bible, go do likewise. Should I join those together? You have an improper method of hermeneutics, the method, and a lousy exegeting style. You have to use other scripture in order to get other scripture in context. God will not contradict himself. The passage you're
Right.
talking about has to do with one man's conscience about worshiping God on such a day versus another man's on another day, being that the Jewish people always had the Sabbath, and after the resurrection, they were doing it on the first day of the week, Sunday. This was the topic. It was to that. Now try what you're trying to do with doctrine. It wouldn't work, because if someone wants to believe that Jesus is just a mere man but not divine, are you saying let everyone be persuaded in his own mind? That's okay?
Excellent point.
This is not
All right, so
possible,
what is Paul's-
Righteous.
Okay.
You're out of
right. Okay.
So what is
context
just
Paul
put a
again.
stop
But
to
this
this.
is,
Right. So he wasn't
I'm in the middle of
linking.
talking.
Just 1 second. Righteous was just being scholarly when he made an example to Neil that was unconnected to the firmament argument. He was just saying, "Do you want to be like this?" And then gave a biblical example. It wasn't connected. Okay, fine. He hasn't
No,
moshed the
you're
two
wrong about
together.
that.
no, Nathan, you're wrong about that. If anything, Righteous is not scholarly.
That's not what I meant. What I mean is, when he said that to Neil, he wasn't trying to connect it to the firmament. Now, Neil's reasonable response is, what's that got to do with the firmament? And I agree, right? But now trying to get him to justify how those two have been mashed together by saying, well, in one part of the Bible it says, go hang your... you've used your example where there's two different things that imply by example that you should go hang yourself. Okay, fine. But I don't think he was trying to mash the two together. He was just off the cuff responding to Neil using a different example to do so. Meanwhile, the bit I'm interested in is he's got an opinion on the nature of Earth. Now, it's biblical in nature, which is fine, but it's in regards to our sky. That's the only bit I really want to get back to, as opposed to his quip towards Neil.
He's wrong about that too. It clearly states what it is in Scripture.
Still, look, I don't want to major on the minors, please.
Nathan, what we're trying to say to you, and since you have eloquently stated yourself, which I respect because you're an honest person, you're not a Christian, you don't believe the Bible to be God's word, but you don't mind giving Christians an opportunity to speak about the Bible on your show. We have no problem with that, and I respect you for that. However, when someone claims to be a Christian, other Christians are instructed to correct them when they're wrong. And so what we're doing is correcting Righteous, Christian to Christian. A non-Christian could look at that and say, wait a minute, he's got his opinion there. Yeah, that's fine. We're not about opinions. We're about what the Word of God teaches and the proper method of study so that you don't come out with false doctrine. This is why we have so many cults and occults and churches that have the cross or the name of Jesus as a part of their insignia, but they don't even believe what the Bible says. They might just believe everything is allegory, or they might just believe it's just a good book. And so we run into these people who say, "Oh, I believe in Christ." I go, "Which one?" Now, I live in a world where I got to ask that question.
Okay.
Which one?
That's fine. But I would prefer, if it's okay with you, if the subject that's being debated and discussed, as much as your correction in Christian hermeneutics is worthy for a Christian, it's just not on topic. Whereas his original point, which we've now segued away long away from, was about the nature of Earth. I include the sky and everything around us in that. And he's got a view on it. Now, you've all
Did he
cast him
cite the
down.
Bible?
You've all cast him down from a religious point of view in context of.
Did he cite the Bible? Since I wasn't here at the beginning, did he use the Bible for that view?
He has, yeah.
Yes, he's coming from the scripture point, and he
Okay.
asked me if I looked into what the firmament is.
But that's.
I said there's no looking into it anymore. It's obvious to a duck what the firmament is.
Yeah,
So since he
his
cited
citations.
scripture,
His citations are secondary to his point about what he thinks the sky is. That's the main bit. His citations are secondary. Now, I'm not trying to demean his citations because they're the Bible. That's not what I'm trying to attempt to do. I'm just saying that his position, or quote-unquote argument, about something that's directly related to the nature of Earth may be cited as biblical. It isn't relevant. But if we get into the nitty-gritty of the citation, as opposed to the claim, then we're diverging too far off the beaten path for my particular liking in this context for the show. Now, I know this is the pre-show, but hopefully going to be tightening. Don't want to say some particular words about some particular hardware right now, just to jinx myself. But I just want to rein it in a little bit. Just trying to say it in the nicest possible way. I want to just retain a bit more focus where it has been lacking from me. That's all.
well, I totally understand what you're saying, but you need to understand what we're saying. What we're saying is that if anyone comes here and has an opinion about the sky, let's hear it, no problem. But the minute they cite the
let me say
Bible and claim to be a Christian,
We got all that.
Now,
We got all that. Go ahead,
well,
Righteous.
Let me say
I'd like
something
to
quick.
finish.
Yeah, but we got it all. I heard it all. You've heard the
I have a
first.
different summary. My goodness.
Okay, different summary. Go ahead. Hold on, Righteous.
It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. Righteous has the right for any view he wants on any subject whenever he wants. No one's saying he doesn't. But if he's going to say he follows the book, and we follow the book, when he says something that's not in the book or mischaracterized, misinterpreted, you want me to shut up? Is that what you're saying?
No. In the pre-show, I'm just trying to preempt my general focus being a bit more frosty than it has been over the last month. And this would be something that I would I'd pull you up on. I'm doing it in the pre-show so that you sort of preemptively are aware that I'm just going to be a little bit more on form. For example, I made a point of listening to Brian's video this morning. I interrupted him right in the middle of talking about it yesterday about computer stuff. I'm so sorry, Brian. One of the subs pointed out to me, Swell. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I was half paying attention to you because it was fascinating. So I thought, I better just actually watch your video about it because you'll concisely detail it without any interruptions, any computer talk. And it was excellent. I've got to be honest, it was excellent because it's so simple. It's one of those that you kind of slap your head after listening to you for half an hour about it and go, my God, this was so obvious. And QE's also been saying it in a roundabout kind of way, but just without an explicit explanation of what is actually occurring when they talk about terrestrial refraction, which isn't refraction. And I approach it in a very, very different way because I'm never explaining what it's actually being utilized for when I debunk it in the way that it's been debunked here in discussion. So it was really, really eye-opening to just hear you break it down in such a simple way. I read through some of the comments. Nothing there, nothing to respond with from the fundies. And the reason's simple. There's nothing overtly complex to break apart in what you've come up with and explained. It's getting bigger. Here's the maths for it getting bigger. It's really basic maths. That's it. That's it, isn't it? Really, there's not much to it for them to get their teeth into to say you're wrong. So the comments read like, "Well, it was great to see this comedy show. I used to pay to the comedy club, and now I come here." You're like, that's not a rebuttal. Or Phil Bell, "Oh, must do a video about this nonsense." That's not a rebuttal. There isn't a rebuttal because it's very simple, and you've broke it down really, really well. So kudos,
Brian
Brian.
is ace.
Yeah, Brian is nice.
And
Thank you.
something.
We had got distracted away from you. I'm sorry, Righteous. Go ahead. But
Right,
hello, Brian.
I'll just say this, okay? If they want to correct me, that's fine, okay? I'll just quickly, in a couple of seconds, summarize something, and I want them to point out where I'm wrong, right?
God, here
Okay, so I'm going to say God's word. I read in God's word say he called the firmament heaven, right? Just like he called the dry land earth. So he said the angels fly in the midst of heaven. He said the birds fly in the midst of heaven. He says fire off a mountain rises into the midst of heaven. And he said the sun stood still in the midst of heaven. So now you guys go ahead, correct me.
What's your point?
Need
What's your
correcting? Where's
question?
the correcting?
There wasn't a question or a
What's-
point in there.
What's your point?
The
I mean,
question
we're
is,
talking-
God said those things about the firmament of heaven. He said the birds fly in the midst of it, right?
Are you trying to say
So
the
how can the
firmament is
firmament-
just air?
Hold on, Neil.
No?
How can the firmament? Go ahead.
Yeah, how can the firmament be solid if the birds can fly in the midst of it?
Because we're breathing.
What's
My
midst?
goodness, this is so
Hold
simple.
on.
Let me
What's
just
midst?
take care of
Define
it. Since he
midst.
asked for it, I'll give it to him.
Be
I'll give it to him
Define.
directly.
Hold on. Define midst, please.
Like in between.
In between. Between this and that. So how can it be
Yeah,
not
between-
solid when there's something in between it and that is solid and must be for us to have gas pressure?
It didn't say solid. It just said if it's describe the firmament of heaven, right? And it's saying it's flying in the midst of the firmament of heaven. So it's
Thank
like
you.
in the midst of, I don't know how do you say it.
Like
So
Nathan said,
basically
in
what-
the middle of a hard surface and the air and the ground, the midst.
Can
but
I
it didn't
answer
say
this
that. It just
question and take care of it?
go on.
I'm willing to answer your question and settle this once and for all. This is nonsense, actually. You
right,
take
go on.
you take the heaven and heavens and God's throne, heaven, you mix it all up. So when you have the area that the birds fly, is that the heaven that God resides in, which is said to be above the firmament? No, because that's where God's throne is. So that heaven must be different than where the heavens where the birds fly. Or are you going to take the heavens when it's saying in context where the stars and luminaries are and say that's where the birds fly, that high up, whatever that height is?
We're not defining the sky
Or-
here. We're defining what
Hang-
your view of heaven is. That's very different.
No, I am trying to let me finish.
Not
I can
you,
take you
Righteous.
this. Listen,
That's
Brian
scripture,
came on.
Nathan.
Nathan, please. Brian came on yesterday and said these are belief questions between Christians, and he's 100% right. Unless you want your show to be about apologetics in the Bible, which I wouldn't mind, by the way, because I'll get on and show you
No,
all
no, I
kinds
don't.
of stuff. No, I know you don't. So that's why we need to end this right now, because your show is about the physical world. That's why I respect your show and respect you as a non-believer who's honest about things. I support you in more ways than one. But when it comes to the word of God and righteous saying this heaven, that, well, first of all, context is everything. We know the firmament is something that God talked about being made on the second day. Okay. Then we are told that he put the sun, moon, and stars inside of it. Okay. And then we are told that below that is where the birds and the fowl fly. According to Paul, there's celestial and terrestrial glory to the things that God has made. So in the scripture, I could easily prove 3 heavens. 1, where the birds are, 2, where the stars are, and 3, where God is. And then I could go to Genesis and say there was a barrier made between God's heaven and the other 2. And that's easy to prove. End of story.
Right, where is this barrier in Genesis?
Oh my gosh.
What's wrong
Second
with
day.
that? Where's the
Word
barrier?
rakia.
What's the barrier? That's something I would be interested in.
No, that's wonderful. It's called the word rakia from the root word raka, something that is hard, stamped out, and it's given a function. It keeps the waters above from the waters below.
You're doing really well till you got there. All the rest I can get
No,
behind.
that's what the Bible says. I'm not
Okay,
asking
okay,
you to
I'm not
believe it.
denying that. Just saying everything else you can easily justify.
I'm
I
not
don't know about stamped
justifying.
out.
I am reading a record of a Christian belief of what God gives an account for his creation. Whether you accept it or not, I'm not asking you to accept it. I believe it
It's not
by
about
faith,
acceptance.
of course.
It's not about acceptance. It's about justifiability. You can justifiably say that it's hard for all of the reasons we can justify it with without appealing to any Christian faith.
No,
at all.
it is hard. Something stamped out. If you look at the root word for rakia, it's something hard stamped out, spread out. It is used those words on purpose. And it keeps the function is to keep waters from above, from waters from below. It says
According
that.
to Scripture.
Now, I accept that as a Christian. Can I prove it? No, I can't prove it. I can't go up there, manipulate, or do any of it. But that's what we Christians believe.
Fair enough. It has an answer to a ponderance that
I'll stick
I
with
believe
gas
we'll never
pressure.
figure out. So, you know,
Your
certain
gas
aspects
pressure
of
question fits perfectly with that.
Exactly. We're breathing, righteous. That tells me there's a hard surface above keeping in the gas pressure that we live from and breathe.
Containment.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, thanks, Nathan. Well, what I would say is you're talking about Genesis, isn't it? Genesis, where they talk about Rakia.
Yes.
Yeah. And what part of the Bible is righteous referring to?
He's just mashing any old parts together.
But the point I'd make about it is Genesis is like, who wrote Genesis? I say what I mean is that, like, you could say Job. Some other part of the Bible is connected to Job. A different part of the Bible is connected to I don't know. I'm going to say words names like Peter. Right? I don't know. Right?
Can I help you out, Brian?
Sorry?
Let me tell you.
Peter speaks about it too, though.
The Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, is ascribed to Moses. So Moses would be the one.
So yeah, is that based on him going up to? Oh no, that's not the Ten Commandments story, is it? I'm going to shut up. The point I was trying to make is that when it comes to Genesis, you're talking about a root description. So whatever, I mean, that people might mix that up over time with different by mixing in different interpretations from different parts of the Bible. But Genesis is like this is this, and this is it. But Genesis came before the rest of the books, yeah. What I mean?
No, they think Job was the first book written. Genesis was written. There's times and date that they estimate, so they think Job is one of the older books.
Correct.
Okay. Well, look, I have it wrong then. I just shut up.
Yeah. So just to round it off, there's so much that goes into the hermeneutic structure, the methodology of studying Scripture, and then there's the exegeting of a particular passage. And then you can't come in with biases. You have to realize you got the rest of Scripture to compare what you're saying and see what comes from it. Like yesterday, for example, do we have time? Yeah, we got a few minutes. So yesterday, for example, the statement of Job. So it's like, okay, where else can I see this to see I get some proper context? Well, it's right there at the beginning in Genesis, where the waters are the deep, or the emptiness. It was the darkness, and God created everything out of that. Well, Job is referencing that. The earth hangs over chaos. But the word there is nothing, but you can also say chaos. And so it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. But we know that in today's version of scientism infiltrating the church, people in the pulpit are not using proper hermeneutics because they've got in their mind outer space and the earth is a globe spinning. So when they read the earth hangs over nothing, they immediately think of what's been programmed since birth, outer space, solar system, blah, blah, blah. Then I would just take them to a careful study of that word okay, and say, no, number one, Job wouldn't be heliocentric. He wouldn't even have that view in his head. Back then, they were thinking the earth was flat and motionless. So
And
how
they
in the
would-
world would...
Sorry. And they were claiming that they're claiming that the word firmament means expanse. That
Well,
is
that-
nonsense.
Well, there's an expanse to the firmament because whatever it's containing is the expanse within the containment, but it's not the same thing. And so they've changed all this because, as C.S. Lewis in The Magician's Twin, go to YouTube, Magician's Twin, C.S. Lewis does a great job on this. Scientism.
Well, Brian, I know you agree that we have containment, correct? Of course you do.
Oh, absolutely. I was only referring to maybe the Genesis as like like Genesis being an all-encompassing description, kind of the beginning of the world within the Bible. As far like so like I would have thought that Genesis would trump all other descriptions within the Bible of the world, because Genesis was like it's like talks about the
Creation.
sun being inside, and I think, and there, I don't know. I might obviously I can't paraphrase it, but basically it's it gives like an all-round description as opposed to other parts of the Bible refer to the world, but they don't specifically give an all-encompassing description. So
Well,
that's why it's so as an argument, I would think Genesis would trump all other parts of the Bible or anyone else's interpretations of it.
The Bible will not contradict itself. So Genesis is part of the Bible, but God starts the Bible with Genesis. And there was a scientist in the early 1900s or late 1800s. His name I failed to recall, but I'll remember it. But he said and he wasn't even a Christian. He was into Darwinism and all that. And he said everything in reality could be explained with time, force, action, space, and matter. Time, force, action, space, and matter. That's what he said. Now, if you go read Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, time, God, force, created, action, the heavens, space, the earth, matter. In one verse, God says everything that guy's trying to say. And he says, I did it. And then he gives a description of it. And so for me, and the reason I'm on the show, I'm on the panel, and I love the arguments that we refine day after day, is because the church has failed. The church has failed because when they came in with science, it was the scientific method. And as Nathan and everyone else here has shown, then they use that method, abuse it, and come with scientism and pseudoscience, which gave birth to secularism. Okay, so now we got secularism having its footing on pseudoscience, because secularism says there is no God, there's this, and the other, and they take God out of the picture. Well, now it hurts my heart to see pastors, see NASA and James Webb and all this. I go, you guys are going against what the Bible says, and here you're preachers of the Bible. Now they're fooled, and I believe my mission is to learn the arguments and take it to them and wake them up. Now, whether I'm successful or not doesn't matter. It's my conscience tells me to do this. So if you want to kill secularism and show people that there's a creator, which is exactly the reason Satan got into the hearts of these people to create pseudoscience, is to take them away from the creation story. Because I'll tell you one thing, if everyone believed in the flat earth that had a container, they'd go right to Genesis and they'd say, how do I know this God? How can I get to know this God? They'd be searching for this God. Right now, that's not the story. The story is Big Bang, accident, and they're out busy sinning left and right, because there's no judgment with secularism. So yeah, this is one of the most massive tricks ever. And I'm glad to be here fighting the fight with all you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Well said, Tent. Well said.
What's that, Tim?
Yeah, it's good to be seeing all of it coming together with things like Brian's video, black swan, elevation angle measurements, even the return signals with P waves and S waves. All of this stuff is always coming back to a flat Earth. Not surprising when you know it's flat.
Yeah, my point, one of them, even though the initial point I was making was not the black swan, but it's a compliment to the black swan, as the only rebuttal he ever gave us to the black swan is obviously flawed.
Refraction.
Yeah, well, there was never a rebuttal because it means you're claiming it's not geometric, which was the whole point. So they bury themselves by claiming refraction, but they don't have refraction. Then that's the problem. And if what they're talking about would give a completely different result from what they needed to give. So
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, Refracted Curvature, 10th Man, Eli, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Gilded, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Oh. Hello. How's it going out there?
It's going well. Batteries run out on my remote control to turn the studio lights off, but other than that, things are going well. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Well, according to my son, it's not formally known as the curve of the Earth. It is the curve of the Earth.
Hello, guys.
Well, we've only got one horizon, and the horizon in there begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is Earth curve. It's marked in the next labeled horizon. We've only got one. It's not Earth curve.
How come I've never seen it?
Horizon.
How come I've never seen this Earth curve from an airplane at 40,000 feet to on my boat? How come I've never seen it?
Well, you were claimed to be seeing it when you looked at the horizon, but we've debunked the horizon being Earth curve. The horizon is not the leading edge of a hill getting in the way of things in the distance as they calculate it geometrically in the Earth curve maths. That's not the horizon. We've only got one, and it's not a physical limitation to your view. When they bark refraction, they're affirming how non-physical their horizon is. Or in this case, isn't. It's not a hill getting in the way. That's what Earth curve is. That's not what the horizon is.
Well, when I was on my boat and I looked out on a clear day going to Catalina, I saw the horizon. It was horizontal.
I mean, the horizon's all sorts of things. It's just not Earth curve.
Well, what I'm trying to say is it wasn't any curve to it. So if that's Earth curve, looking forward, it should be dipping down because I'm going over a hill, as you say. But side to side, I didn't see it either.
Oh,
Well,
dear.
that's not how it's qualified. So, I mean, when they describe it with a magic trick performed by Neil deGrasse Tyson as not being capable of being viewed contextually as a left to right curvature from altitude because you're not high enough above it, he's not describing that misapprehension that you may have as a normie about what Earth curve actually is. The qualification for Earth curve, the claim to be I can prove that the horizon is Earth curve, is a mathematical derivation of an R value that gives you a geometric limitation marked with an X labelled horizon in their Earth curve maths. That's what Earth curve is. We've debunked it. Any evidence of the R value, Earth
no,
radius?
hang on. No, we're not done. We're not done.
Oh, it's still on Earth curve.
Yeah, when they hoisted this magic trick on people, they were using the mast of the old ships and the bottom disappearing, which is just a function of perspective. But that's how they tricked us in the past. So in the past, they're saying, see, that's Earth curve blocking the bottom of that ship or that building. When artists know it's perspective.
Shout out to everyone
Well,
in chat. Please share the show. Enthusiasm level's going to hopefully go up
Yeah.
a few percent.
And
Go ahead,
Horizon-
Deck, or whoever that is.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, after Tim said that, yeah, horizon is not ever defined as a curve. If you look at the definition, it's just the apparent line where the sea and the Earth, sea and the sky seem to meet. So that isn't saying anything about Earth curve. So whoever made that up is talking broken biscuits.
Oh, they claim boats go over that, and that's how you can prove Earth is a sphere.
Yeah, on screen right now. It's on screen. There it is in the maths. It says horizon on it.
I often wished over the past few years that I had, well, over a good few years, that I had the ability to make like a computer rendering, like a 3D model, moving model of what a boat would look like if it was going over a curve. It won't disappear from the bottom up in a linear fashion. It won't do that. What a boat will do is that the bow, which is the front of the boat, will dip down, and the hull, which is the back of the boat, will start to point up from your perspective. So, because the last thing you're going to see if it's a sailboat, the last thing you're going to see is not the top of the sail. The last thing you're going to see is the back of the boat, the hull, right? The back of the boat, and the tip of the top of the sail. It depends on the height of the sail. That's the last thing you're going to see. You're not going to see something disappearing in a linear fashion from the bottom up. That's purely due to either inferior mirage or the Rayleigh criterion.
No, I never got that, Brian. I never got that, how they explain that. I always saw it how you just explained it, if it was going over a hill. I never understood how they would say it would disappear the way they show you, like in Neil Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
That's because it's shout out to Godzilla. He says free super chat feels dirty. Because he's a member, he gets free super chat each month. And then he gives me another super chat and goes, that feels better. Very good.
So in the math, when they're talking about the horizon marked with an X being blocked by Earth curvature, the thing about that is that's not proof. Like they give us that as, oh, it's evidence, we know it's that. Well, first of all, if you look at like one of the very first links into this, it says, say hypothetically if the Earth was a sphere with a radius. So they're proposing that if it was this size, then this would be the geometric limitation. So a reasonable person would go, okay, well, great. I have something to do now. I'm going to go affirm that this is true. That's all we've done. We've affirmed that it's not true. So the hypothetical is debunked or whatever.
Yeah, well said. That's the black swan, right?
Yeah. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Angles to the sun using a vertical.
What is the sun?
An angle.
Hold on. Angles to the sun using a vertical. That would reference the horizontal, though, Arwen.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, the two are intrinsically linked. Yes,
You
they
could
are
do
most
it from
definitely
in a well.
linked at the hip.
You could do it from inside a well. No, you don't.
You have a vertical.
No, you can't.
free
Yeah, they
space
said
on.
90.
One at a time, Ed.
Actually,
Yeah,
John, hold on.
vertical.
John first.
Wait
Go
a
ahead,
second, I
John.
wanna
Hold
hear
on, Neil.
what
Hold on,
Brian
Brian.
would
Hold
say.
on. John first. Go ahead.
Arwen, can you have a vertical in free space?
What's free space?
Well, since you're asserting that the vertical has nothing to do with the ground, right? So, say floating in space. What is
Did
vertical?
I say that? Did I say it had nothing to do with the ground?
He's asking.
Yes,
He's
you did.
asking. Just ask once more. Listen closely, Arwen.
Can you have a vertical in free space?
I think so. Yeah.
No.
What do you mean, no?
You've got no horizontal to reference it to.
You don't need to have reference a horizontal.
So how do you
can
know
just
it's vertical?
use
How do
a
you know
plumb
it's?
bob.
How do you know
can just
it's
use a plumb bob.
in free space? You didn't listen.
Yeah.
You didn't listen.
Free space. You're talking
there's no
Euclidean, right?
outlet.
You're talking Euclidean because unless
Arwen,
you're
there's no
mentioning
direction in
four
the
space.
Hold on,
up or
Brian.
down in
Hold
free
on,
space.
everyone. Arwen's in the middle of a statement. He's trying to respond to John. Go ahead, Arwen.
I don't know what this three space is about, but if you're talking Euclidean, well, then
Stop.
no, you
Stop.
don't need
Stop.
to
Stop.
reference
Stop.
the
Stop.
ground. You can
Don't
just
start
use
with
a
I don't
plumb
know.
bob.
Stop.
Oh, now you're
Stop.
interrupting me. First you're
Yeah,
telling
because you've
other
said, I
people
don't
not to
understand what
interrupt
the
me, and
main
then you do
qualifier-
it yourself.
You started your statement with I don't understand the main qualifier he gave you that I've pulled you up on and said you didn't understand, or I assumed incorrectly you didn't listen. Okay, that's where we move from. We don't carry on with your waffle. We go from there. Okay. John, as it was him who defined free, he didn't define it yet, but I'm going to ask him to, use the term free space, can define it for you. Please.
Not relating to any other direction.
Well, you're talking now about things that are not very pragmatic and in the real world. I mean, my solution is a plumb bob, and I don't need anything else, mathematical or otherwise.
But a
I
plumb
just need
bob
a
needs
visual
earth.
on the sun and a plumb bob.
Will you be using
A plumb
90
bob
hours?
needs earth.
Hold on.
Well,
Brian.
a plumb bob needs earth.
Yep. You're referencing it to Earth.
Needs
Therefore, you've
Earth.
got a 90.
Yeah, but if you have a vertical,
No.
you have to have a horizontal, correct?
Yes.
Now, a plumb bob technically doesn't need anything. All it needs is to just have the room to be able to hang.
Plumb
That's
with
all
what?
it needs.
Plumb
What's it
with...
referencing, Arwen?
What does plumb mean, Arwen? Plumb means something. If it's a plumb bob, what does plumb mean?
Well, I think they used it also partially to establish level, which of course involves the horizon.
Oh my God.
But you don't actually need that
Yes.
to get a
That's
90
the end.
degree angle. You only need the vertical.
Did we all hear him? We all heard him. So that's the end of this discussion.
Yeah, you need the
No,
ground.
that's called a dead-on straw man, Nathan.
No, Arwen, you just killed your own argument.
No,
when you said
that's
90.
literally a dead-on straw man.
We heard
No,
the first
Arwen,
time.
That
Here's your
is a
argument.
straw man.
We heard the third
You
time
asked me a
too.
question, how do you do this? And then you draw in things that I did not use, did not say. It's called a
Oh,
straw
You
man.
just
It's
said
being
90.
recorded.
Yeah, you just said 90.
I know I'm being recorded. And yeah, 90. Yeah, 90, that's right. With the vertical, though.
90
You
to
can't-
what? To the horizontal. Yeah, you're going to need horizontal. That's where we started. That's where we will end. The two are intrinsically linked at the hip. You can't get away
No,
from
but you
it.
don't
And-
necessarily need
Ugh,
to
don't
establish
rinse
a
and
90
repeat.
degree in the first instance.
Arwen, please don't rinse and repeat this. Last time you stormed off in fury that you were right
Yeah, and
about
I'm
this.
going to do that again
you
because
weren't.
I hate it when you're just dead on wrong and because you think you're on the winning side of flat earth, which you are, that means that you can just pull out this shit and be wrong.
You are
You're
wrong.
Me?
You're wrong.
What I
Arwen.
said was
Four
100%
people
technically
telling you how
correct,
wrong you
and
are.
none of you
Four.
can handle
It's not
it.
me. It's four
You're
people
getting
telling you.
spoiled
Four.
by your own winning positions.
Please don't verbal
You're
diarrhea
wrong.
the show. Please.
Yeah, laugh it up. I'm deadly serious here.
No, you're not.
Perpendicular, Arwen. Perpendicular.
Yeah, that's not something that is involved in anything that I gave as an answer in response to the question.
Use
So
the word
all
plumb.
straw man.
You
It's
used the word
all
plumb.
straw
Yes, you
man.
did. You used the
Always.
word plumb.
And you said you need the ground.
Stop bobbing about.
No, I didn't say I need the ground. That's you
Not in
literally
those
putting words in
words.
my mouth. I never said I needed the ground. I never mentioned the word ground
Okay.
in my
Okay, thank you. Thank
answer.
you. Yes, that's why you were specifically asked by John about what it would reference in free space. If you're not using the ground, then you did.
You said horizontal, Arwen.
I did not bring up horizontal. I said a vertical. You keep on adding more words
going
and then
back and listening
asking
right
me
now.
more things to then, as a response of me trying to answer, add more words to my original statement that I did not make.
Are you all enjoying the show in live chat? Hopefully you're all having fun. You all enjoying it in Discord? Not Discord, Gilded. You're all settling in nicely to the new scenery?
I recall Arwen saying he was in a well holding a plumb bob.
That's correct.
Okay, so if you're in a well, what kind of well were you in? How deep was it?
It was a bit saline. It was
I
kind of
know.
dirty, neglected.
No, let me have this go with Arwen.
Alvin killed his own argument with 90.
No, I'm getting there.
I did not use the word 90 in my
it's-
original answer.
You
That
said
was in
90.
response to another question that it eventually
Can't
turned
make
into
the
a straw
measurement
man.
you're talking
That's what that
about without
was.
the
You need to
horizontal.
get over that.
Hey,
You
you
can't
need
make
to,
the
you need
measurement
to,
you're talking
comedic
about
or otherwise,
without
you
the
need to actually
horizontal.
hear each response. So please. Hello, Adam. Good to have you.
Eli,
Yeah.
can I go?
guys.
Hello.
All right,
Hey,
can
Adam.
Yeah,
I
I'm
got
trying.
rumpused. I protest. I got rumpused.
I was trying to get in before you.
Go ahead. I give
Go
you
ahead,
permission.
Eli.
Well, I feel like it's a classic begging the question because you're saying you can get a vertical, you don't need a horizontal. Well, but then you're using the earth and you're saying, well, this is a horizontal, but you're saying it's not really in reference to anything, which is why John asked you what he asked you. You
Oh,
can't
wow.
say I have a. You can't say I have a vertical in free space where there is no other because you have a line, right? But you don't have an orientation. The only way we have an orientation is if we use a reference, like a
Yeah, like
horizontal,
a plumb bob.
or the earth.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, the plumb bob goes down toward the ground on Earth. So what are you saying?
I say that I don't
Alvin.
have to look sideways in order to establish a vertical.
Sorry. Shout out to Del West Watson. He says, yes, Godzilla. Very dirty.
Arwen, when you're holding the plumb bob, let's say you're holding the plumb bob in your hand, where your hand is holding the string, that is 90. How do you know when it's at 0? What determines 0 from that point?
What do you mean, like dead on zero vertical?
0.
In
Zero.
reference
You're
to-
starting
yeah.
with 90.
Yeah,
in your hand.
you're
hold on.
pulling out a
Arwen,
number.
Arwen.
I don't even involve numbers in my answer.
Arwen.
You're talking rubbish now.
I'm not talking
Stop.
rubbish. You're again
Arwen,
drawing in another
please,
type of
for the love of
explanation.
Jesus, Arwen, I don't want to have to kick you out because you can't control yourself.
Oh, we want to kick me out.
Well, if you can't control yourself, and if I have to say your name 16 times to be able to
Well,
say...
maybe you could tell the crew to stop straw manning me constantly.
Nobody's straw manning
and
you.
focus actually on what I said.
Arwen,
I
we've
went
heard
back and
now
listened,
5
it said
times
Horizon.
an unqualified claim of straw man. I've heard it. Yeah? Do you understand? Me saying your name 16 times, you saying straw man 5 times? Yeah? This isn't reasonable. Try to be reasonable.
It is.
I'm not asked. That was rhetorical. I've asked you in reference to what? Right? Got nowhere. Told Dom straw manning you. Brian's now rephrasing and repackaging precisely what I entered this annihilation of your nonsense with. He's trying it, and you're doing the same thing. You're not being responsive. You're not cooperating. You're just rumpusing. That's all you're doing. So Brian's now trying, as I did, the same exact thing. How do you know it's at 0 is the same as me saying, in reference to what? What's it plumb with? That's what Brian's trying to do. I want to let him so that the audience understands, despite your belligerence, what the point of this is. Because the ballers...
All right, well, if you're going to talk to me like that, I'm
There's
out
an
of here.
education point at the
Bye.
end of
Have
this,
a nice
Alvin. I
day.
hadn't finished. The
He did
ballers...
say Horizon. Hold on, I
Oh,
went back and
Jesus
listened.
wept.
He said Horizon.
I'll try again. The ballers use this argument to deny their requirement of a flat plane to do any of these angle acquisitions. All of them require a 90. All of them require a flat plane. And their denial of it is to state that they hold out a plumb bob. Now, there is a concise annihilation of this. Or there's a denial and rumpusing of this when the concise, detailed explanation comes from 4 different people. That's what we're getting. That's not very educational for the audience. Brian, please try again. We'll see how we get on.
Yeah, well, I won't have to going now, but I'll do it anyway. When you hold out a plumb bob, if you're holding a string and a weight at the end of it, it's your plumb bob. While your hand is holding the string, that's 90. What will reference, how do you reference 0? How does 90 get to 0? 0 is a horizontal. Because the plumb has to be perpendicular to horizontal. That's one defines the other. That's the whole point of it.
What plumb
so
is?
They're married at the hip. There's
Exactly.
you can't speak about one and not speak about the other.
Precisely.
You're talking about an angle.
So when they deny the requirement on the ball side for the horizontal plane they'll be acquiring all of their angles for, their little Weasley way of getting around it is say, well, I just take it from the vertical. All right. So you take it from a plumb line and take the angle off that, do you? How do you know it's plumb? Plumb in reference to what? Oh, the horizontal plane we dwell atop? Yeah, that's how it's done. It's the only way it can be done. Earth must be flat for any of these methods to work. That's the point. When we point that out to them, oh, I don't need the horizontal plane we dwell atop and measure. I just take it from the vertical and ignore that it references the horizontal. The two are intrinsically linked. We got there in the end.
It's like a plumb bob in space. It's just hilarious whenever they try to invoke it, you know.
There's been a few NASA instances where they do, quite specifically. It's quite comical.
Then, Nathan,
morning,
the
guys.
opposite. Hey,
Hello,
Chocolate.
hello, Chocolate. Hello, go ahead,
Then,
Tent.
Nathan, the opposite. I'm hearing an echo. The opposite is true when they use the bubble sextant. They actually get the horizontal first with a spirit level. So, again, a demolition of their argument because you need a perpendicular, as Brian said.
That's true, but the bubble itself sits in the vertical plane, doesn't it? If you think about it, right? Where is it sat? Is it sat one bubble on one side and one bubble on the other side in a horizontal fashion, or is it sat on top of whatever liquid
It
it's in?
depends.
It's in the vertical.
It depends.
But my point is,
Well, hang on.
it's a tool that's utilizing something that sits in the vertical plane to derive the horizontal plane, isn't it? That's what the bubble actually is. So as much as you say, well, no, you start with the bubble and you get your horizontal. Yeah, from something that's sitting in a vertical plane, that's the bubble itself, isn't it?
Yes, but there are sextants with 2 bubbles, one for the vertical and one for the horizontal. So they have that kind of bubble sextant, and then they got the one with just the horizontal. So they got 2 kinds.
Right. But in both instances, you're still going to be referencing that bubble in one plane to get the other,
Yes.
aren't you? When you say that there's
Well,
one in
that's-
each plane, that means that that's slightly misleading, because I almost thought, has he got me there? No, he hasn't. No. What you mean is you can turn the tool sideways and use a bubble in the same exact way a bubble works always in the vertical plane to get the horizontal plane. Because the thing it sits in is in the horizontal plane, isn't it? If you think of a spirit level, like a literal builder's bubble, right? You've got a long tube and the bubble sits in it. Well, the bubble sits at the top in the vertical plane, and it's referencing 2 lines that will tilt through the horizontal plane around it. Yeah? So it's interesting because that is a great example of something that is absolutely necessitated by it having both simultaneously to give you the accuracy in terms of level that the bubble offers when you derive one or the other from it.
Yeah, try building a fence, which I've done, where you put the posts in first, say every 6 feet apart in concrete. Well, you use a long level, and you do the vertical and the horizontal, so that when they set, the fence looks good. So it's a perpendicular relationship, as Brian said.
Yes, and that
He
relationship
admitted that, though.
is what's the word where it's I don't think symbiotic is the right word, where it's always intrinsically linked. I can't think of the word. There is a good English word for that.
I think it would be it's necessitated.
Yeah, that's
by
good.
the
enough.
other.
Antecedent.
Yeah, it isn't. It's an antecedent consequent. Of course it is. It's an antecedent consequent relationship. You can't have one without the other.
It's
I don't think it
interesting
would.
that he legitimately, in his mind, he's concluding and reasoning like that of a baller in this instance. And I wonder why.
Well,
Like,
it's just throwing a
why
tantrum
would it
like a baller. That's the kind of that was very reminiscent of your typical ballers' behaviour when they're shown to be wrong. That was an archetypical baller behaviour.
Is Arwen okay? Is everything all right? Because this is the
It's just
second
wrong
time
about
I've
something.
joined, and
It's just wrong
it's
about
just-
something. That's it.
Like, oh,
Arwen's very
Nathan,
prideful,
again.
right? Arwen prides himself on doing exceptionally good research and not being wrong very often. He also quite likes to sound a little bit wrong so he can correct people on our right ears. And when he is actually wrong, which he is in this instance, either that or he's just playing on the fact that maybe he is actually just that good at being Baldwin, because that was so reminiscent of your typical anti-flat earther when they're shown to be wrong. Don't let the concise question come your way. Ignore the question if it does. Throw a tantrum, claim we're rumpusing and strawmanning them. Everything was perfect. It was right on point. So if he came back in tomorrow and was like, that was just a really good Baldwin, I'd be like, yeah, I believe you.
You're being too conceited, being on the winning side. Okay?
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
day, Arwen was arguing the same point with me and you, Nathan. We were telling him he's wrong, and he didn't want to listen, and he left. He came back later, and he started arguing with me when I said that because objects weigh more in a vacuum, that destroys anyone claiming that gravity is a force of attraction, right? Because within their model, the air pressure and the air pressure gradient, right, is caused by gravity giving weight to a mass of air. So within their model, objects have to weigh more outside of a vacuum in air and weigh less in a vacuum, but they don't. They weigh more in a vacuum. And Arwen lost it again over that, and then he left. He left again. He hung up again, and he started leaving comments in. I didn't read them in Master B or something for me. You know, it's like this. He's been at this since last week.
Well, the problem is that Arwen and Baldwin are the same person, and it's like multiple personalities. And when he can't handle a concession, Baldwin takes over and it goes away.
Okay, maybe. Either way, I went to delays. I'm not too concerned. Anyway,
Where are we in housekeeping?
we've got 2 questions. Got Earth curve and R value under our belt. But that's okay. I'm just pleased everything's functioning. I should have said that. Any evidence?
I don't know.
Go on.
I was going to say, I don't know if I would call it an antecedent consequent relationship with the vertical and horizontal. It's more contingent.
Contingent. That's the word. That's correct. It's not an antecedent consequent. It's contingent on one another. That's correct. That's a good word.
Would it not still be
Well, no, because the consequent, you can't reverse them, right? You need a container for gas pressure. You don't get gas pressure without the container, right? So you got to have horizontal to get the vertical, and you have to have vertical to get the horizontal.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other, but it's not like you can't have a container without any gas pressure. You can, the two aren't reversible in an antecedent consequent relationship, but in terms of the intrinsic nature of horizontal and vertical, the two are contingent upon one another.
Okay, I was wrong. Okay.
Next.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Is it contingent?
It's not been
there is
demonstrated.
still a contingency there with gas pressure, yes.
Oh, Brian, you said they tried weighing an object in a vacuum. How'd they get a vacuum?
Well, you'd need a container for that.
So if you need a container to create a vacuum, then what is gas pressure needing to have pressurized air?
Mic check.
With the word press being involved in it, pressure as pressing, as Nathan has pointed out for years, it has to be pressing on something. What's
Yes.
it pressing on? If it's not pressing on a solid container, it's not pressing on anything. There is no pressing. You can't press on something that doesn't have a 3D physical tangibility.
I would say that's a
Mic check.
truly
Yeah,
impressive
we hear you,
answer.
Jorge. You're quite loud, actually. What did you want to add?
Well, just referring to the bubble level or the spirit level, even though the device itself is on the vertical, the bubble is on the horizontal. So it's always referring to the horizontal.
Was I wrong? Just say you're wrong, Nathan. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's
line-
the object itself. You can put it on the horizontal plane, and you'll have a bubble which is horizontal as well, and the bubble will have to be within the parameters. But if you have the device upright on the vertical, the bubble itself that you are looking to for the measurement is on the horizontal, and again, it uses the same parameters for the bubble.
No, fair enough. I was wrong.
That's your bubble bursted.
Right on.
Either way, you're talking about level.
Yeah, but
That's
both
correct.
bubbles, both vials with the bubble of air in it, or whatever, have to both be parallel. They're both parallel horizontals.
Yeah, that's correct.
Next.
Well, just real quick, why is it called a level?
Well,
I don't know. Why is it called a bubble?
creates a horizontal.
It means
creates a horizontal.
it means no parts higher than the other.
Yeah. And so it's interesting when the anti-flat earthers come in saying, well, we don't need the Earth's horizon and the Mariner's sextant to do celestial navigation. We can just use a bubble, a level. Oh, okay. Well, if you were to do it the other way, where you didn't have a bubble, you would use the Earth's horizon, and the numbers would have to equal the same, the star's GP to the observer's GP. I wonder how that works if the Earth is curving in one in your mind, and the bubble you use goes out into infinity of space that's level. How could they both coincide unless the Earth matches the bubble that goes infinity at your eye line? It's called something like a depression angle refracted curvature.
But don't forget, Temp, the horizon mirror has nothing to do with horizon.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but we're talking about the bubble, but we should be talking about the liquid, because that is basically a vial with liquid inside, and there is a gap for air. When that bubble of air is in the middle of the vial is perfectly horizontal. So it's the liquid that is establishing the level of the bubble.
That's correct.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I've heard a Goldberg state that if a water level can establish a horizontal plane, then the Earth can't be a globe. Is that problematic?
Sorry,
Because
you're
last time I checked,
what you're
that's
doing is
literally
you're
what-
saying, I've come across a baller spitting cognitive dissonance. Is that a problem? yeah, it's a problem for him.
That's a very good
It's
concession.
definitely not a problem for me.
Oh, okay. I was just checking because last time I checked, that's literally what that is. It
Wait, what
established
did he say?
I'll repeat. A water level is a tool to establish a horizontal plane. And from what I heard from this person, who apparently has science in his name, he says that if that's the case, then the Earth can't be a globe.
That's a concession.
Well, yeah, you need to trim
that's
that
the
out.
whole-
You need to trim that out and title it, whoever it is, you haven't named them specifically, declares Earth is flat. Because that's correct. That's pretty much spot on. Unless you can establish it as a horizontal plane, well, you can. Therefore, Earth's not a sphere.
Oh, I could shout him out if you want, this is something I heard on Bev's channel with a discussion with a Glober who is named I Can Science That.
Ooh.
So I can science that. Have you got a verbatim quote?
Pretty much, if a water level establishes a horizontal plane, Earth can't be a globe.
Welcome to Flat Earth. I can science that.
Yep, stacks from the back, backwards to the left.
DJ's taking
Well,
requests.
I must point something out. At present, our opposition have split level into two categories because now I don't think Bev and them were aware of this, but they've actually started admitting that a bubble level creates a horizontal, right? Now, I have to speculate that that's purely down to the bubble sextant and all the references and all the citations to speak about that creating a horizontal. So, because that's using a bubble level within it, and the citations speak about the need for a horizontal and an angle needs, obviously you need a horizontal.
Okay,
Right?
yes, that's
Hang
that's true. It's just the way you've credited it. It's just dirty. No,
Well-
I mean Bev's ground those guys down and has detailed that to them specifically. It's not because of the
No,
sextant
you didn't
bubble,
leave me
but
finish what I was saying.
fine, go
You
ahead.
don't know the full story.
Credit
don't know
to
the
you,
full
Bev.
story.
Shout out to Bev.
Yeah, you brat.
Yeah. What they are now stating that a bubble level creates a horizontal, but a water level is level with the center of the globe. They're two different levels. That's the point I make. So they now have two separate claims going on.
Yeah, the whole
It's
thing with
nonsensical,
bands
isn't
is
it?
Mindy's
Because they're
horizontal.
both
They
the
believe
same.
horizontal bent.
Hold on one second,
And
Jorge.
in fairness,
I think John made his point. So go ahead, Jorge.
No, they're both the same. A spirit level, it's referring to liquid, the liquid that is inside of the spirit level with the bubble. And the water level is the same thing, is liquid again. It's two liquid levels. Establish the same thing. They need to be exactly the same.
and I would just like to state that yes, Bev has wore them down and grinded them down, no doubt about that. I don't take that away from Bev, but Bev can't take away from us that we've also done that. 10th Man has grinded them down with every citation to do with the bubble sextant. So they wouldn't be going on to Bev's admitting that a bubble level establishes a horizontal if it wasn't for the bubble sextant. They wouldn't be doing that. They weren't doing that before the bubble sextant, and that's due to 10th Man. So yes, I'd never take acting away from Bev, but you can't take acting away from 10th Man or us, what we do here either.
I
That's
agree.
right.
It's just not Bev grinding them down because he's been
Absolutely.
pointing out how our levels work in terms of Euclidean geometry and building shit. Excuse my
Hold
wrong
on.
language.
You're missing it though, because they would say bendizonal to Bev, saying that horizontal bends at the rate of Earth curve.
Okay. Take it back, Brian. I apologise sincerely. That's correct. Bendizontal was their carte blanche bagurk to Bev. Well, how'd you get an elevation angle from a curved bendizontal? Oh, you don't. No, I think you're right, Brian. I take it back wholeheartedly. Sorry, Bev. Shouting you out and Julie, unfortunately. The reason you've got people conceding is because of 10th.
Just a small concession from 10th. I'm only quoting what celestial navigation says. So it's not 10th. I'm just the messenger.
Can't do anything with an angle
Oh,
except
why are you being
beat.
so humble? Take credit.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm
Credit where
trying-
credit's due. And, you can't do anything with an angle, was what Bev said to me when I put this to him. Well, you can. You can overcome bendizontal as a rebuttal.
It's not that I'm not
Yeah,
trying
you're,
to
you're
take.
taking. Listen, when you cite something, you are taking it on as an argument. But
That's
it is
right.
yours.
It's yours.
No, what I'm trying to do, Neil, is to point that if you go to celestial navigation, then you can cite celestial navigation requiring a perpendicular, a 90, and that cannot work on their globe model. So finding that out and having the panel really do research on their own. I mean, Brian and Adam and everyone who's done videos and talked about it, especially Brian, because he's taken this thing and run with it. And Mitchell from Australia, it's really a killer for them because they can't say it's FED and Nathan and crew because they're not citing us. We're citing their sources.
And man, you brought it to our attention. You did the homework on it. You get the credit. Yes, it's celestial navigation. We know, but
What's my
take the
top
credit.
brother?
I give the credit. I mean,
was the street promotion team. I took it to the ballers personally.
We just heard some high pitched squeaking from you, I'm afraid, Eli.
No, I was just saying I was the street team. I took it to the ballers first.
Well, Elijah is, as far as the
Elijah's
trench
ace.
work goes, yeah, Elijah spends more time in the trenches than any human ever should. And I worry for his mental health being around those people.
Agreed.
Well,
Did
I'll
Elijah
tell
just state that he's walking the streets?
He's not a gigolo. He's talking about going out in the trenches of flat Earth and anti-flat Earth, as opposed to being a male prostitute.
no, Elijah rides a bike and delivers packages. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what we call it around here too.
It's very
My
simple.
reference was more. My reference was more like an undercover cop walking the streets.
Oh, I don't
Well,
think in those terms, but I'm
Let's
not a
get back
criminal.
on topic before we lose it here. It was Brian who took the only thing I ever claimed was, hey, I'm looking at their books and sextant's an angle measuring device and angle is two straight lines meeting at the vertex. That's the only thing I ever claimed. Then Brian jumps on it and says, oh, look, if they do it, it has to be a chord. Oh, look, if they do it, it has to be divergent zeniths. Well, that can't work. I mean, subtracting from 90, they hated that. So the whole team has contributed.
Dean, sextant, work in the street. It all sounds very seedy.
But even with a chord, it wouldn't work because the
Nathan,
angle
what
would have
angle?
more than 90 degrees.
Nathan, what angle are you trying to get here?
You work all those angles, sister.
That would be curves.
That would be corners, working corners.
Should we
With
take
their curves.
an abrupt change? Right. Any evidence
Oh,
of a
do you know what someone did before we move on?
before we do housekeeping? Do you know what somebody did? Let's talk about people for a bit. Why not? How very lowbrow.
It has to do with the triangle, right? So this guy goes into Microsoft. First of all, okay, so he said, so you can't have a horizontal, you can't have an elevation angle without a curved adjacent. I said, no, you can't. He said, he posted a picture in the chat, and it was of an angle. And he says, is this an angle? And I said, yeah. And then he posts the Microsoft like paint in a grid like this curve. And it's actually that line that he zoomed into.
Ah, so the answer to that is, so it wasn't an angle after all.
No, it was. Because I said, fam, you have it in individual line segments between each box. It's still an angle if you were to close that there at the bottom of the box. And second of all, if you're saying that whatever distance that radius line would be, that adjacent line would be, you're saying that all of that's a flat segment of this curved Earth. That's insane.
Eli, what number do they have to subtract their angle from?
90.
Eli, boy, you didn't sound like Eli.
Sorry, I got excited.
90.
It's over right there.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
show him,
even
and if
with the
anyone
chord.
does that, just show him Rob Durham and his the shorts video that QE has of Rob Durham, showing
Yes.
how it doesn't work with a curved line in CAD. And CAD is used by engineers who build massive things everywhere.
That was what I was going to go to next, Brian, in response to, well, okay, I did speak too soon, to be fair, Eli. If you zoom in on one box, if it's a segmented line drawing that makes up lots and lots and lots of lines to make an appearance of a curve when you zoom out, the point where two of those lines meet, if you add another one to it, will give you an actual angle. You've got two straight lines meeting. I think that was Eli's point. It's like, yeah, well, you've still got an angle in that tiny little section that you've drawn out, but only for that one tiny little section where there's one straight line. Well, if you're going to assert that, well, because there's lots of other straight lines that aren't meeting this straight line for my angle at a vertex, therefore curved lines can form to make angles, it's like, no, that's very much faulty logic. But further to that, if they did say that, which they often do, you just go to Rob Durham's video and say, well, look, this is a CAD program that just basically tells you when you try and get an angle from a curve that you can't get angles from curves.
Well, technically they can't get a right angle anyway, because even if they do make a tangent to their surface of the sphere, because they can't find horizontal, because no part of that sphere is horizontal.
Right, which
no
is
matter
why
where you put your tangent plane, there is no horizontal. It's just a straight line.
Exactly,
There's
that's why
no
Arwen's getting in a huff, because that's currently that's the only ball of get out, and it's completely negated by the fact that the two are intertwined, horizontal and vertical.
But there's no vertical either, because you have with a sphere, or you have an inside and an outside, because it goes so all verticals will go to the center. That means no vertical can be 90, because no other vertical cannot be 90 then, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, I
So you
understand.
can't have, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, but the horizontal cannot be a chord, because otherwise, if you cut through the sphere, you're going to have more than 90 degrees. You cannot have more. You
No,
need to have 90 degrees or less.
I was talking about a tangent. I said a tangent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jorge's saying neither can it be a chord if they try and use that tact.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah,
correct.
Let's ask the question. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement? Because that's what this is really all about. It's about navigation and the acquisition of elevation angles. When you're out navigating and trying to find where you are and put yourself on a map, and then triangulation being the acquisition of these elevation angles, is there any evidence that those elevation angles used in navigation can be acquired from a curved baseline?
Evidently, you haven't been paying
Negative.
attention for the last hour.
Now, without a horizontal plane, you cannot do elevation angles.
Earth must be flat. Earth
No.
is flat. It is required to be to navigate.
Yeah, definitely. Can't prove that, but like you just said, and this is what they're saying, they don't need a curved baseline, because they're not using a curved baseline. They're using a invisible imaginary tangent line. This is what they're saying now. They don't actually use the curved Earth. That's irrelevant.
We covered that in the first housekeeping question, though. So tangent to what? Oh, well, it would be the physical leading edge of the sphere, formerly known as Earth curve. That's their tangent. Well, since 2020, 1st Jan, they've been telling us how they don't have that tangent. It's bent. Hey, Roofy, he became a member. Yeah, how about that tangent? Tangent? What do you mean? Straight line to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve? Oh, you don't have that anymore. Never to be seen, ever. They don't have a tangent. So no.
Right.
Nathan, I posted a picture in Master D, if you can go to it, on topic.
Yes, Neil?
Sure.
Ryan, what was that thing you said before you put that on? What was that thing you said yesterday that they've been telling you they know for 200 years that the horizon?
There's a comment from a baller claiming that they've known for 200 years that the horizon is not a stationary location that you can travel to or something like that. There's some rubbish.
Well, yeah, but it's claimed to be a physical geometric sphere edge blocking the view, calculable in the Earth curve maths, where it's labelled as a geometric obstruction with the word horizon, marking an X where there's a geometric tangent point. We debunked in 2020. Meanwhile, got your celestial body sextant angles picture.
Can I just say, just before, because I was trying to get in to say this, just about the tangent. As soon as they mention tangent plane, that is an admission that they can't do this process on using their curved surface. immediately it's over. It's an admission that they can't do this process
How
on the
many,
curved surface.
Brian?
That's the end of that. Go on,
How many planes would you find on a curved surface?
None.
None.
0.
That's weird. Then
Over to you, 10th.
so the people that believe the
This is directly
Oh,
linked to
okay,
that.
sorry.
Go ahead, 10th.
Yeah. So as Brian said, and as Chocolate's commenting on, this picture that you're looking at is from a navigation site that believes the Earth is a globe. And look at what they put up as the essential parts of an angle. Now, face value, when I first posted this many moons ago, Nathan said, "Oh, this is funny. Did you make it?" I said, "No. This is from a serious navigation site that believes the Earth is a globe, and they are showing you in the pictorial how celestial navigation works." Now, where in the world can you get that adjacent, that baseline, on the dingleberry that's underneath it? There's only one place. Anyone want to guess?
Center of the Earth.
The equatorial plane, which is the real surface of the Earth.
Yeah. The only
The
way you can do it is
burger
by
in,
doing it from the equatorial
Naples.
plane, and we're not standing at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth with a flat plane to actually measure the angles from, and then a globe Earth with a molten iron core all around you. It's absolutely absurd. What it matches with, and is derived from, is the celestial sphere model, which is a flat plane with the dome of the heavens over you. Shout out to Godzilla37, who says, give me just one sec. Frade Arwin is right. A plumb bob will find vertical without a horizontal, though it will necessitate one. A measured one is not needed, in my opinion. It will necessitate one. A measured one is not needed. What? That's a contradiction in terms. Thank you for the
Well,
super
he's
chat.
taking it off the subject, but what he's saying is when you hang a plumb bob, it's going to do 90 for you. But to have 90, you got to have a reference. It automatically gives you the other.
Okay, any more to add on this? Because I'm going to do a little public service.
Yeah, well, yeah, just the equatorial plane. See, the trick is, and you could establish it by saying, where do the angle measurements in the nautical almanac originate from? The curved surface or an equatorial plane where you do have a baseline? Well, to their own admission, it's the equatorial plane that has a baseline, the disk. That equator line, that disk, is a flat disk. That's where the angle's coming from, not the curved surface. And that's from their own book. So, yeah, the black swan to destroy the globe and celestial navigation to prove flat Earth. It's a beautiful combination.
Cool. We're not going to be able to rattle our way through all of the housekeeping questions today, but that's fine because hopefully everything's back on track now after a month of chaos. And that means that all we need is the people who are in the live stream, which admittedly has had the live stream numbers dwindling over the last month through various different reasons, to actually share the show. So we're in a new Gilded server, which we've been in for, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, maybe a little bit longer. And the server is doing its job now. The sound is good, the link works, it's actually published with the video, so you can actually join the show. All we need is some passing trade, which means that it's down to the people, the good people who actually watch on a regular basis, and indeed you, if you're new here, or if you're a cursory watcher, to actually smash the share button, because that will, as I say in every single introduction, increase the diversity of the panel, and the panel in this instance is the Gilded server. So, yeah, we can make all the excuses in the world about it being new, but ultimately speaking, the only way that it'll stop being new is if it gets a bit worn, and the way it gets worn is by being shared, and the way we publicise our Gilded server is by obviously pointing people towards the show, and then if they want to contradict anything that's being discussed in terms of the Earth's requirement to be flat and the acquisition of elevation angles in this instance, they can just join the show by clicking the link underneath. But that means we've got to have people actually come into the live show to do so. So please share the show. Obviously, a massive thank you to all of you who've smashed the share button and regularly do so. I appreciate there's lots of you in the audience that do regularly share the show pretty much every time you come, which is fantastic. But the extra push is going to be needed because the extra focus is going to be here, and we just need some fundies to annihilate with their assumptions and declarations about the nature of our Earth, which we know to be obviously, observably, navigatably flat. So there you go, public service announcement number 1. Please share the show. Thanks if you have done so already.
I'd just like to say, Tent, that they're not getting their angle measurements from the center of the globe. They're getting them from the surface of Earth. It just happens to not be curved. And then they're pre-assuming it's a globe and bringing those angles to the center of a pre-assumed mathematical circle.
Well, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm saying no. We're saying the same thing. Obviously, they're getting it from the flat surface that the Earth is, and then they are repositioning it for the globe model to the center. But it's all happening from the surface. There is no equatorial plane in their model because their model doesn't exist. We just live on an irregular plane.
But Brian did cover
Funny,
that a second ago in terms of, while they can claim that it goes to the centre of... Well, I'd be reiterating Brian's point. Brian, you made this point earlier. Do you want to reiterate that?
Yeah, they can make the claim that their angle has been brought to the center of a circle with a radius of 3,959 miles, but their angle measurement, the measurement is happening with a marine sextant using the surface of the water underneath the boat, starting there, using the horizontal baseline of the Earth. They're not making a measurement off of a curved surface, so they're making a measurement in reality using the using the Earth, basically. Or it just happens that the Earth is not curved, it's not a globe. But then they can start pre-assuming it is and bringing their angles to the center of a globe using another horizontal. But that the measurement originates at the surface of the Earth. The Earth just happens to not be curved.
Why do they draw a tangent plane, Brian?
Well, they
That's
have
the plane
to
bit.
pre-assume a tangent plane because they need that they need the tangent plane and a tangent plane of infinite size, if necessary, to make the measurement.
Right. So it is the surface of the Earth where the sextant is working from, which is the irregular plane. They had hoodwinked people with elevation back engineered angles to Polaris to call that their equator, and they've repositioned it. They've transformed it over there to make you think it's from the center, but we all know no one's at the center with a sextant. The measurement from the sextant is from the surface, and if the surface is curved, the sextant is useless. It can't work.
Well, it's an antecedent relationship. Or maybe, I hope I'm right in saying it this time, but you can't have the angle that you're placing at the center of the mathematical globe without having measured it originally off a horizontal plane at the surface of Earth. So
but the equatorial
you can't
plane
have an angle measurement from the center if you don't measure it from the surface first.
But equatorial plane means the observer at the center, underneath the Polaris, with a straight line to the equator. You're 90 degrees, so that's what it makes the celestial sphere, a plane.
Yeah, I understand that, but the point I'm making is that they can't even put an angle at the center of their globe until they've already measured it off a horizontal plane on the surface.
Yeah,
so they must,
agreed.
That's an antecedent. They can't, when they want to start. See, this is the thing about our opposition, and even people who are just hoodwinked. They always want to go to delta x. They never want to deal with x. So delta x is the angle from the center of the globe. X is the actual measurement that is taken using the horizontal surface, the horizontal plane of the Earth at the surface.
We're
Because you
saying
can't
the same.
have one without. You can't have B without A.
We're saying the same thing, Brian. There is no center of the Earth measurement. None of that exists. It's all from the surface. What I'm saying is from the opposite view. Then they reify it to a center of an equatorial plane, but there is no such thing.
Yeah, but my point, we are saying the same thing. My point is a little bit more subtle. Their claim, right, only happens after it's measured off of a massive horizontal in reality.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
the antecedent. Just 1 second. The antecedent for their claim is a real world measurement off of the horizontal baseline of Earth. That's my point. Okay, go on.
Okay, what I'm saying is their claim doesn't even happen. It's always happening from the surface, which is flat. Their claim
Yeah, I
doesn't
understand
exist.
that.
Let me summarize.
Yeah.
Let me summarize both your points. So Brian's saying, in order to first have a claim to be making, they need and necessitate a measurement from a flat plane. Now, they might call that the tangent plane. Now, what is further to that is that they've got to then move that tangent plane to the center of Earth to make the angles work. And that's nonsense. That's your point, right? 10th. That isn't being done. We're not moving anything to the center of any sphere Earth when we take a measurement. But Brian's point is that ultimately they're always conceding that they have to take a measurement from Earth's horizontal plane whenever they do anything.
What I'm
Correct.
saying is, I understand you both.
Yeah, correct. There's two ways of expressing it, but we're both saying the same thing. Obviously, I agree 100% with Brian, and I know he agrees with me. There's just two ways of expressing it. That's all.
Yeah, no, my only, like, I mean, I'm not going to get something you tend to saying or like that. It's obviously I wouldn't be able to do that. The point is that the antecedent for their claim is a real world measurement using a real world horizontal plane, not a tangent plane, not a curved surface, a real world horizontal, which is the horizontal baseline of the Earth we live on. So their claim can't even exist without the real world flat plane.
With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
That's basically what they do, right? With
They
the
move
globe.
it. They
Right.
move it. They move it to anything flat because they got it from flat to begin with.
Right. I couldn't believe she said that. I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to inside of the Earth.
But see, this is where if you know both, hang on, Brian. So this is where if you know both arguments, it's a winner. You say, oh, so you think they're actually taking it from the center of the Earth? I mean, the sextant on the surface that's curved is giving you an angle that the center doesn't have, because the center is a flat plane, your equatorial plane. If you're begging the question with them, the surface is curved. How do you get an angle? So you're back to what sextant is, angle measuring device. What's an angle? Two straight lines meeting at a common point, forming a vertex. That can never, ever, ever happen from a curved surface, as Brian and I both have said. And the initial measurement is coming from the flat plane we actually live on. And I'm taking a step further and saying the way they deceive people is by moving that to a presupposed reification model called a
And
globe.
that's what she was doing with the basketball. Because I told her there's no flat surfaces on the sphere.
Then you can get an angle.
Yeah, but equatorial plane is already a concession. It's already the same plane, not sphere.
Correct.
There is no
Correct.
curve in the wording. Equatorial plane is already a concession.
Neil, not only is it a concession, but it's a concession in like what equatorial plane, so a plane in a place that doesn't exist. So that's even worse than a concession.
It's a plane with a circle around, which is the equatorial plane.
Neil, what you do is produce an ordnance survey map for your wife, whether it be a 2D, which will be an XY coordinates ordnance survey map, or a 3-dimensional, which will be an XYZ ordnance survey map. They're all based on surveying, and they are all based on the Earth having a horizontal baseline that all elevations are taken from. You know, the most accurate maps we have. There's no map. There's no map more accurate than Ordnance Survey maps. Sorry, Jorge. Sorry.
I was just saying it's planar surveying.
Well, it's all surveying. All OS maps. Like, I mean, there's no difference between. Like, Bev points this out. He pointed it out years ago, and he's 100% correct. There's no difference between geodetic and planar surveying. There is no difference. They're using the exact same tools and the exact same methods. There is zero difference.
Agree.
Yep.
But my point is, it's still referring to a plane.
The minute you say angle measurement, it means a plane. it's just so obvious. I don't know why we're.
Correct.
Like
I think
correct.
I think my son tries to get her with these things, so she
No,
comes up with them out of nowhere. So I know it's him.
No, but that's okay. If they want to take it to the center of a basketball, you say, well, what is the radius of the basketball? Is it 4 inches? What's the radius value of the basketball? Okay, so Earth curve on
Depends.
Earth
It moves
is
with weather.
Well, this is the whole point. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every horizon distance can be no further than. Okay, let's test it. Well, we have. There's no curvature. I mean, so it's over. We don't live in that. You can't put an equatorial plane in any part of your conversation because you don't even have the ball to put it into to begin with because it's a black swan. So you got the measurement. Where'd you get it from? On the boat, on the surface of the ocean. Oh, so that means it's flat.
Correct.
Yeah, if you have a basketball and the distance to the extreme of the basketball changes very often, how can you measure it?
Better yet, how can you shoot a basket if the basketball is bigger than the hoop?
She would say from the inside.
You can't obtain Ordnance Survey maps from the inside of a sphere. You can only obtain Ordnance Survey maps from the surface of an Earth with a horizontal baseline where all elevations above and below that horizontal are taken from.
Another way of saying that, Brian, is where the vertex is where you're getting it from.
But yeah, I mean, they use Ordnance Survey maps. They use two-dimensional Ordnance Survey, use X and Y coordinates, three-dimensional use X, Y, Z.
Do surveyors use angles when they're creating those maps?
They do use angles a lot. They're using a lot of trigonometry.
Oh, okay. You can do fuck all with an angle, so that's not a good argument.
Well, that's 100% not true. Angles are awesome.
No, just repeating somebody that pointed that out, pointing their argument back to them.
I understand.
Yeah, that would be Bev, and it was shocking when I heard it.
Yes.
The very thing that validates his argument is celestial navigation, and then he says that. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
All right. He's got a different angle to his argument.
Okay.
I don't mind because it drives the Globers to drink. So I don't give a shit.
So you don't give
let him keep doing what he's doing.
So you don't care if he's plumb wrong or right.
Good boy.
But even with a plumb, you got strings attached.
You have to ask Brian about that because he's the only plumb here.
Well, Brian knows about
Adam. He defines who the plumbs are.
Yeah, but Brian, being a plumb, knows where all the pitfalls are in every argument.
That's correct.
I was waiting.
Of course, you're waiting.
I just want to say that if the ballers had an option of who they could exterminate off the surface of Earth, Bev or Nathan, they could probably never come to a conclusion. They probably wouldn't be able to come to a conclusion. They would probably argue amongst
themselves. They want
Nathan out first.
Maybe, yeah. Nathan's a bit bigger of a channel, but Bev has created such hate. Go on, sorry.
They would kill QE.
Yeah, but I know what
See,
Brian's saying.
I
Bev
think
gets
what
under
what
their skin.
really, but what really kills them about the dynamic between like us and like Bev and his crew is that even though those guys they're not flat earthers, right? But their argument still kills these guys, right? So you got arguments coming from flat earthers that kill them. Then you got ones that come from people who don't claim that they don't even claim a model, but apparently saying simple things like horizontal, perpendicular to vertical, okay, things like that, like level being horizontal, that kills you, and you don't even need a model. And that's
But
what
chocolate.
that's what it's showing, that it's driving them insane. That somebody who doesn't say I'm not a flat earther, I'm just a guy, just saying, hey, level's horizontal. That's
chocolate.
pretty much what it is.
It's
Go ahead.
chained in the membrane.
But chocolate, it's just being pedantic overly on a term. When we say flat Earth, we mean irregular plane that has valleys, mountains, right? That's what we mean too. For them to say, well, not every part of the Earth is flat, so I'm not going to say I'm a flat earther. It's such a weak excuse to say
But
you don't.
why?
But
Why? though?
because they're retarded. That's the difference between us and them. They're retards and we're not.
But I'm not trying to go to the ad homs. Like I'm just
Ad hom. They're
trying to
not.
say.
It's not an ad hom.
I'm just trying to say, like, there are two different approaches to the argument, and the fucking ballers flip out either way. So that's why
Third grade. Who cares? A third grader can have an argument that make the ballers flip out. What
Yeah, I
the
know.
fuck, dude?
That's what's up. And isn't it cool to have different aspects that make them do that instead of just one? That's
They don't
okay.
have any
I don't-
arguments over there. What the argument do they have? Levels flat and flats horizontal? What?
No.
What?
Level
What's their argument?
level is horizontal.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for that.
Okay, yeah, great. And that's what's driving the Globers nuts.
Yeah,
Okay.
but in saying that, chocolate, you have to adore and embrace the sextant argument, which they don't.
Exactly, and we could get on with them, but they
do
have
they
start saying,
though?
hold on,
What?
Chelsea, when they start saying you could do F4 with an angle, that's a direct shot to us.
Now, it's a direct shot to coherency and geometric acumen or geometry.
And that's what we put forth here, correct?
It's not an insult. They're insulting themselves. They're abject retards over there. Bev is the retard leader.
No need.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, there is a need.
Mess with that because I actually like that. So
Well,
I don't have
like
a problem
and
with that.
like and dislike have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I know, but if he's not wrong about what he is saying, and it's the specific argument that's making them crazy, what's the problem?
But
I don't
that
see the problem.
level's flat. Yeah, I never knew that.
But that's not his argument. Hold on, that's
Or I
not his
knew it.
argument. Not his
What's the
argument.
What's his argument?
I said it before. Level is horizontal. I didn't say flat. Well, I'm just being accurate.
I'd have never known.
Accurate. It's not about you. What the fuck?
What's
not me? What the fuck?
What's the synonyms for horizontal, chocolate?
Level.
What else?
Flat.
Flat.
Would baseline fall into that?
But does flat necessarily have to be a synonym for horizontal? Because I can have a flat wall.
Yes.
Wall's
It's
not
a
horizontal.
sextant. Does the sextant
No,
need a
the surface is
horizontal?
flat. No, you're pulling a Red's rhetoric. The surface may be flat and smooth, but it's not fucking flat.
Right.
Okay.
Not horizontal.
In orientation, flat is horizontal.
Yes.
Then you start hanging a shelf on an angle and say, see?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I could have a flat wall, right? Like I'm not trying to make a Red's rhetoric argument. I'm just trying to state reality. right?
That,
You can have a
that is
wall that's
reality.
flat, not necessarily horizontal because it's a wall.
All right, pull up the definition.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, listen, King of
That would
Kings.
be smooth.
Jesus Christ, don't bring him into it. He's not
King
going
of
to help you.
King of Kings. Let's finish it off. But do you need a horizontal for an elevation angle, Chocolate?
You're going.
Yes, of course.
Okay, well then, welcome to the party. Not you.
What? I was gonna say, what party? Aren't I already at the party with snacks?
No,
yeah,
this
the one
is
with the
why I
snacks.
say-
Yes.
This is why I say it's pedantic to an extreme to argue with the Sexton argument and say, well, we don't believe the Earth is flat. We believe it's horizontal. I mean, it's embarrassing, actually.
He
It's
doesn't make a
contextual
claim
error.
about Earth.
Bev's making a contextual error.
He's just
Because
not
we're-
making
it's
a
in a
claim
di-
about Earth.
Right. When he's saying that a wall is flat, right? He's addressing the
I'm
surface.
saying that.
Okay. Well, that's a contextual error because you're not addressing the orientation of that wall. You're just addressing the surface.
It's a wall. What orientation do walls have, man? Are we serious right now?
Yeah, we're pretty serious.
Yeah, what if the wall is angled like a skate park for skateboarders?
Exactly. That's what I said. You can hang your shelf on an angle.
So an angled wall. I mean,
An angled flat surface. No, an angled flat surface.
Okay.
So then the skateboarder likes that feeling like he's on a wave. But the orientation, what John is talking about, is respective to any angle. For example, if I say in celestial navigation, you have to subtract from 90, the orientation is simple. It's a right angle.
Okay.
Okay. So when we say the Earth is flat and we're flat earthers, that's a name because our opposition says the Earth is a ball and is spherical. That's the only reason we say
I
it.
accept that. Yes,
Okay, I know you
I know
do.
that.
Okay, so when Bev comes in and says, "Oh, I never claimed to be a flat earther," but agrees with us on what a 90 is, I mean, I don't know why they pick on that term when it's the opposite of a sphere is why we say it, not because we mean there aren't valleys and mountains. For goodness sake, we're a little smarter than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
So,
think
I don't really see. Like, I understand everything you just said. I don't.
No, I've heard them say you can't be a flat earther because there's valleys and mountains. Duh. That's not what
And
we're saying.
how would you measure the height of those valleys and mountains?
Yeah, elevations of
By
the
using
horizontal
a
baseline.
flat baseline.
Is that Earth under the
but
sea?
There's something that's been forgotten about, and I said it to Bev. I said it when I was on his show a while back. I said, the only reason anyone's called a flat earther is because somebody started claiming the Earth was a globe. Nobody claimed the Earth was a globe. The term flat Earth wouldn't exist. Flat is just the opposite from sphere. If you think about it, the opposite from a sphere is flat. You know, maybe horizontal, but the point is that flat cannot be spherical. That's the point. So nobody would be called a flat earther if some idiot didn't start calling the Earth a globe. So
Perfect.
It's a bit of a bad argument to attack us on being flat earthers because we're not living in a different world than Bev or anyone else. You know, we're still living in the same world, but we're pointing out reality too. The term flat earther is given to us. We didn't go looking for it. And it's only because we're pointing out that the Earth is not what we've been told and what it's been claimed to be.
The older books,
Yeah,
Brian,
in conversation with
the-
normies, I tend to not, I don't even refer to myself as a flat earther. I tell them I'm one of those people that no longer believe I live on a magical spinning water ball flying around in a vacuum. Right?
Well, for
I don't
navigation
need to
purposes,
even
you need to
say
count the Earth
flat
to be
earth.
flat and stationary.
the
Say
older
again.
books.
Hold on one
say
sec. Say
irregular
again,
plane.
Jorge. Just one sec.
For navigation purposes, you need to consider the Earth to be flat and stationary.
Correct.
Yeah, I know it may
Consider
have
it,
not gotten
yes.
in, but the older books refer to it as an irregular plane. The celestial reification of it is called the equatorial plane. What we observe in reality is hills, valleys, mountains, all kinds of stuff. But to get an elevation angle to measure, to navigate, you have to consider it with a baseline, and the baseline doesn't curve.
Okay.
I mean, look at Al-Biruni. He's looking at a mountain. What does he use for his baseline? Sea level. Why? Well, sea's got waves. One day it's 6-foot waves, so it's not level that day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like the point was that you see how there are two sides to this same argument? And
No,
both
I
of them
don't.
drive the-
No, I
both
don't
of them
either.
drive the Glober's
I don't see the two sides.
I don't
Can you
either.
tell us both sides, please?
Yes, chocolate, both sides.
One side claims that level is horizontal, does not claim a model.
Hold on. Are
Other-
you saying
the
the other side doesn't claim that?
Do we claim a model?
No, the first bit, the level is horizontal.
Uh-huh.
So one side claims that. That infers that the other doesn't.
No. Well, okay. Both sides claim that, right? Both sides recognize that as reality, but just approach it in different aspects. But neither side is wrong about what they're saying.
Hold on,
One
that
just
was
doesn't
one
claim-
side. You didn't give a
one just
second
doesn't
side.
claim a model. One just doesn't claim a model. That's it.
But we don't either. If
I
you're
know.
defining Bev and us as being these two sides, and you're saying we say and they say horizontal is level. Okay, yeah. Right, that's a given. Well, beyond that, they don't claim a model. No, neither do we.
Yeah, but okay, I get what you mean. They don't claim Earth in any aspect.
Say that
Aspect?
one more
The
time.
aspect is flat.
Yeah, I was going to say. So why point out that horizontal's level? That is an aspect.
Because it is.
But that is an aspect, a horizontal aspect.
Okay, but that's not a model.
That sounds like an Orwellian argument now, Chocolate.
How is that an Orwellian argument?
Baldwinian. It's
Because-
Baldwinian.
Oh yeah, Baldwinian. Because you're not referencing
How
horizontal
is
to
it
the earth.
Baldwinian when the ballers are the ones screaming in pain every time they hear levels horizontal?
Look, if you want to come here defending
that,
Bev,
Paul? What
right,
do you-
just expect this. What you want? I don't know. People are defensive about Bev around here. I'm not.
I'm not defensive about. I'm just not trying to put words in his mouth that aren't coming out of his mouth. And I recognize that his argument, as simple as it is, drives him nuts. So do I.
Right. But you're contrasting.
I can recognize both aspects and appreciate them both. I don't care.
Yeah, but you're contrasting Bev's argument against the ballers, which we all love, and you're contrasting that with our argument against the ballers, which he doesn't like.
Right, but the thing is, hold on. This is the thing.
Okay, he doesn't like our argument. You guys don't like his. That's fine. Nobody.
What's his argument? Hold on. What's his argument?
Oh, jeez.
Well, first of all,
what's his argument?
no,
horizontal's flat.
Stop.
We both agree.
Stop.
Is that his
stop.
argument?
You didn't hear me. Chocolate, you didn't hear me. I said we all like his argument. What part of his argument do we not like?
I don't know.
Level is horizontal?
You guys are the ones telling me, oh, he's wrong or whatever. I don't know.
No, you're
he's
missing.
retarded.
When he says
See,
level is
see,
horizontal,
So you just have a personal thing with him. I don't.
it's not personal with me. I like Bev, but look, level
I'm talking
is
to
horizontal.
you. Talking to QE.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm still trying to
that's right.
finish something here.
Go ahead, finish up real quick so we can get to the meat.
Okay, great. Level is horizontal. What's there not to love? Love it. Love it. We say the same thing, and they don't love the way we say it. So we're trying to figure out why do you say an angle has nothing to do with anything when it backs up his point strongly. I don't understand why they make an exclusion of our point when we say, yeah, great point. Keep hitting them on the head, Bev. Awesome. And then we come out with Black Swan. They have a problem with that. We come out with celestial navigation. They got a problem with that. What's the problem?
Well, you're asking the wrong person.
Thank you very much. They got egos. They got
Ask him. I don't know.
I'll tell you what it is. I don't have an ego. I love his argument, and I love our arguments. They only love their arguments. There's ego over there. That's the problem.
All right. That's cool.
I think there's I think the thing is there's a lack of kudos. We will always give Bev and what happens over there their kudos. We always do. But Bev doesn't give kudos himself. No, he doesn't reference
That's
us.
fine. I'm not asking
do we,
for
do we
anybody's
need
kudos.
Bev's praise? Oh,
I don't
that's
need
so
kudos.
sweet.
But it's not.
Bev,
You're missing the point.
it really helped my panel out if you could just give them a quick pat on the back once in a while and tell them they've done well.
That's not my problem. Hold on, no, that's not my problem.
That's not the point. I didn't finish making the point. The point I'm making is that it becomes tiresome to keep referencing and giving somebody kudos when that person is ignoring whatever good things you're doing. You stop wanting to give the person kudos, and that's what happens with Bev. That's what happens with Bev and people that he referred to as flat earthers. People stop wanting to give Bev any kudos simply because he's making a point of not acknowledging other people. It's about acknowledgement. That was the thing. Now, I don't get that. I don't have an issue personally with it, but I know that annoys people that he would refer to as flat earthers and would refer to themselves as flat earthers. There's no acknowledgement.
Bev sympathizes in the house.
Listen,
Well,
I was
like
on. John, before you go, John, let me just give a disclaimer.
Hey, kiss my ass, buddy.
Listen, before refracted curvature before refracted curvature says something. I was on Bev's channel. I consider everyone on the channel my friend to this day still. I'm disappointed that they're not following what we're saying, and I could only criticize in a loving manner and saying it has to be ego, because we're basically supporting one another's arguments, but I'm not hearing it on our part from them. I don't know what else to say. I don't hate anybody over there. I consider them my friends. If they called me, I talk to them, but I'm just calling it the way I see it. That's it.
And that's
They don't have
exactly
an
the way I
argument.
see
All they
it.
got is an axiom.
So am I.
When I
So
went
all
there, they did the
got
same thing. Sorry.
There are no fucking arguments that they have. All they got is an axiom, which I knew about 30 to 45 seconds after I got out here.
Right, but they're
So what's the deal? It has nothing to do with like and dislike. It's nothing to do with that. I don't know. I don't see it.
No, I'm not saying it from your viewpoint there. I'm saying just so that the lines are open for communication. It has nothing to do with anything personal, because level is horizontal. I knew before I even knew about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Duh.
they make it personal.
That's
I'm
like
sorry.
like, isn't that something everybody knows?
Yeah, duh.
Okay, great.
But there's
So
a
what's the
problem.
problem?
There's a problem. I got a problem, I'll tell you. The problem
Right.
is when you say level and horizontal have nothing to do with the ground, you are either inserting misinformation or you are just living in ignorance at that point.
Agreed.
What if you're not talking about the ground?
Now you sound like a
Horizontal
baller.
doesn't well, no, that's, no, that was
Neil, relax. What if you're not talking about the ground?
so vertical doesn't reference the ground and horizontal doesn't reference the ground. So we do this in pre-space, right?
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
just
mean
saying,
you,
bro.
Chocolate.
Like it doesn't necessarily, like, just saying levels horizontal doesn't mean I'm talking about the ground. Does it?
Yeah, but no, you're missing something, right? Level can only mean horizontal, and it can only mean horizontal in a world where you can have horizontals, which is a world with a horizontal baseline, which can be described as flat
And that
by a pilot flying an airliner who doesn't have to deal with topography. He can measure it. Yeah.
Be careful, Brian. He's going to hit you with the wall.
But the point is, someone flying a commercial airliner at 6 miles up, the highest piece of land above being sea level is 5.4 miles, which is Mount Everest. So someone flying at 6 miles up won't have to deal with any topography whatsoever. So that person could claim the Earth is flat because they are flying across a horizontal plane, not having to change their altitude due to topography. They're flying in a horizontal line. So yes, a pilot could claim the Earth is flat from their point of view, and nobody could argue with them about mountains or any of the rest of it.
Okay, I wasn't referring to you when I said you sound like a ball of chocolate. I'm referring to anybody who says, well, we're not talking about the ground, because that's what ballers say when we bring up celestial navigation. They hide from the ground. They hide from the surface level and take it up into the air.
I said, what if I'm not talking about the ground?
How can you not be in relation to the ground
have to
when
be.
you're speaking about horizontal?
I just, it doesn't make sense to me why you guys fighting this so hard. Like,
It's not that
a little
chocolate.
weird.
It's that Bev says when you use a water level, to this day, construction crews use it to go around corners and everything else to build a foundation. So it's level. Why are they using a water level for a foundation that's on the ground? What's the point?
No,
horizontal.
This is what it is, chocolate. Because there's an orientation. Like I was saying, a sphere doesn't have an orientation. Well, they gave it one on a plane that's like more of a I guess a galactic sphere. Around the sun, and everything else is moving in the plane.
Can anyone else hear him?
Not really.
No.
Very muffled. Very muffled.
So I'm sorry, I didn't catch any of that.
Hit him with the wall, chocolate.
He was right though about the orientation. Horizontal is an orientation in relation to the ground.
Like if it's not like then how will we determine degrees then? Like the horizontal in this reality is literally our foundation.
I got 70%
So if
of
you
it.
don't have a horizontal orientation, you have no degrees at all.
Yes, correct.
So what are you saying? That he can't make that argument without claiming a model?
No.
Is
When
sea
did we
level a
mention a
model?
model?
Is sea
When did we
level a
mention a
model?
model? Hold on.
Say that again?
I said, is sea level a model when it's designated 0?
No, the sea level is 0.
Okay, now John, say what you were going to say.
At what point did we claim a model?
I'm talking about us. You know damn well we don't claim a model. So I don't know why you would ask that.
Chocolate, let me
So
ask you another way I
what?
look at this. If you look at sea level as 0, as all societies do, it's a agreed upon convention that sea level is 0. What if someone said, well, that's not the lowest parts of this earth. We need to go to the Mariana Trench. We'll call that 0. Could they do that?
I'm sorry, I was shutting my car off. I didn't hear you. Did you say?
I said since everyone's convention is that sea level is 0 for everybody when it comes to measurements, isn't it true that if you go deep into the sea like the Mariana Trench, that you can go to the bottom of that and call that 0, since that's where you hit some solid earth with water on top? Why do we call sea level 0, and why is it a standard for everybody when it comes to measurements?
This is horizontal.
Well, yeah, but you could apply that horizontal at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. How come nobody does that?
Well, water finds its level.
What?
And
I'm trying to say something, it's very obvious. No one's going to go to the Mariana Trench. Okay, you're not going to live if you go there.
That's why I said what?
Right,
It's
but the
just
whole
a weird question.
no, but see now
Of course, nobody's
picking.
going to the Mariana Trench.
Okay, so then let's stop saying I'm not a flat earther because the Earth's got hills and valleys. Do you see my
Why are we
point?
trying to dictate what somebody else got to say? That's all I'm saying,
No
bro.
one
Like,
is
let
dictating
dude say
anything.
that he's not a flat earther. What the fuck?
No one's
That shit is
dictating.
crazy.
No one, and I'm losing it here now. No one is picking on them for not saying it. We're upset the way they say it about us.
The ballers are.
No. Okay, you want to have a decent conversation? I'll have a decent conversation with you, but I'm trying to say something here that's not getting across. Why do you think I chose that extreme possibility of naming the Mariana Trench as 0? Because I'd be more precise than Bev.
Good point.
With his silliness, I'd be more precise because that's the lowest part of Earth. And why is that not 0? So I'm not going to do that because it's silly. Water finds its level and 0 is sea level, and everyone agrees on that. But no one's saying the Earth doesn't have a Mariana Trench, but the Earth has to be a plane in order for navigation to work.
At this moment, I would like to say I'm a flat earther, and I'm proud of it.
It's nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. That for some reason they want to be the brother that hates the other brother in the same argument instead of joining forces. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's the real problem. That we don't care what they say. Just that they have to tell us that we're incorrect for whatever reason. Like when I was talking to Bev about the black swan, and I was breaking down the logical syllogism, and he was like, "Well, you could just do it my way instead." Okay, well, you do you then. And he was still trying to tell me I was wrong. I'm applying the same standards that you're trying to apply, but it's not applicable to us. We don't give a fuck about what they do. They just keep critiquing why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly. You did the same thing to me when I went in there.
Yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with Bev not wanting to call himself a flat earther or claim to be a flat earther or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with him just addressing reality. That's all he has to do to destroy the borders. And that is all he has to do, address reality. The problem that people have with Bev on our side is when Bev speaks about them. Now, some of them I understand. Like, if he speaks about Bob Nodell and some of them as being basically a bit crazy and being what he would call model afflicted, I'd understand that because they claim stupid stuff. But when it comes to us, I don't think it's fair to address us in that same way, as we are not like them. We are not going around claiming models and stupid nonsense. We're doing the opposite of that. So when Bev speaks in that way or that tone about and includes us, rather than specifically pointing at us, if he's including us, then that is not correct and is not fair.
Pisses me right off.
Yeah, chocolate.
Well, obviously, if he's got scenes where he's slagging us off, well, obviously that's not cool, and I haven't heard that, right? Yeah, go ahead, take it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in right now.
Hey, Chocolate, take a journey in there. You'll hear it.
Yeah. So what was I saying?
Hit him with the wall, chocolate.
What?
Hit him with the wall, chocolate.
Hit you with a wall.
Go on, Chocolate. Go on. Take no shit from nobody.
Hit him with the wall, chocolate.
Yeah, do you
This
remember
guy's a
any
bad
of
guy
us
like me
critiquing-
today, huh?
Chocolate is listen. Chocolate is a peacemaker.
Do you remember us critiquing any of what's an argument of his that we critique? He said, "Hey, that's wrong."
You sound like Charlie Brown's teacher.
No, but I understood you, Eli. What Eli was saying, it didn't come through very clear. Is what argument of theirs have we critiqued and had an issue with? You see, the problem is, I'm going to lay it out. what Bev says, he just speaks about reality, geometry, surveying, truth. Yeah, water levels. Absolutely, nobody is arguing with that. But Bev attacked not just the Black Swan, but he attacked celestial navigation. Now, he hadn't learned about celestial navigation. And even though people did try and tell him about it, he didn't learn about it. He attacked it before learning about it. Now, I don't know if he's learned about it since, because I haven't been on his show for a while, but I don't know if he's learned about it since. But the point is that if he did learn about it, then he wouldn't be attacking it, because he would see what it is. He attacked it out of ignorance.
That's his problem, though, Brian,
Yeah,
because he's attacking it out of ignorance.
Yeah, it's like attack something if you want, but learn about it before you attack it. And that was the thing. He ended up making himself look bad simply because he was attacking something that he hadn't learned about.
But he's only attacking it because, like Ken said, he's trying to be. There's this the sibling rivalry.
Tried.
Right? Like he literally, you asked, what? Okay, here's where the girl came out. I can point this out to you, Chocolate. Remember when he was when the other guy was asking him about what Nathan thinks and if mountains exist, and he said Nathan thinks mountains are flat. Come on, Sam.
Violation.
He's not so dumb that he thinks that Nathan thinks that, or he is.
Oh, I beg to differ.
Yes, or he is, right? Like that, and it's only to be well, Nathan and them, they're these weird flat earthers. We're the true ones, or whatever.
So
exactly,
Chuck,
exactly.
Eli, did I hear you correct that Bev thinks that Nathan thinks mountains are flat?
No, he was
Correct.
asked by Red's Rhetoric, trying to corner him into a topology argument, straw man, or whatever Red's was trying to do, but in reference to me, and Bev's response was to say that Al-Biruni measured the mountain flat. I didn't give context to it, but I don't see any problem with the way he stated it. Have a listen back. No issue there.
So he's just saying then he had to do an elevation angle using the seashore at 0 to measure the mountain.
Yeah, he made that point, and then when he was asked by Red Rhetoric to qualify what he meant by that, he said, "Oh, it's a nonsensical statement." Okay, well, either you don't understand what Al-Biruni measuring the mountain flat means, but I put it in context with Bev's words in a little short video, which showed two English people measuring the shard off a flat plane, and she says, "Oh, we'll have to assume we're close enough that it's flat." And it's like, yeah, because she's doing the same thing Al-Biruni did. It's an Al-Biruni example that she's giving.
Well, then Bev wouldn't be wrong there.
Well, he said it was a nonsensical statement. That would be wrong. When he said, "Oh, I don't know what he's talking about," that would be a nonsensical statement. Well, no, it's not nonsensical. That's how you measure the mountain. Flat.
He never has a good thing to say about us over here. Never. And all we do is
that
praise
doesn't
him.
matter.
What?
For someone who doesn't speak in British dialect, when you say you measure the mountain flat, it almost seems like you're saying that you didn't measure a height to the mountain, that it was just flat.
Well, no, because Al-Biruni's measuring the height of the mountain. That's the purpose of the measurement. So if you're going to take that statement and contextually say, "I'm saying he measures it as a pancake when he's getting the height," that seems absurd. But you could take me out of context. That would be very weaselly.
It's not. The context is fine. The only person that has an issue is Bev. Now, we measured the mountain flat. We know what it means. We know what the flat relates to. The flat relates to the surface. So you measured the angle of the mountain from a flat baseline. That's fine for everybody bar Bev, because Bev has said that in reality, the ground's not flat. It's only his previous protestations that puts him in the position of contradiction, where he has to then, when challenged on it, rebut himself by saying it's a nonsensical statement. It's only nonsensical if the ground and the sea we live upon you can't define as flat. You can happily define it as flat, then it's all sensical.
Well, to be honest with you, I remember when Nathan said that. And Nathan didn't say that at a time where he's sitting back relaxed like he is now. He was speaking to someone like, I don't know who it was. It was one of the ballers or something at the time. And he was getting several putting out several not claims, but making several statements at one time, and saying when Nathan said Al-Biruni measured the mountain flat, he was just saying that offhand. He knew everyone listening understood what he meant because he knew everyone listening was well aware of what Al-Biruni did, and Adam's original point about him having to measure the height of the mountain off a horizontal plane before he went up the mountain, and his claim to have measured a globe's radius, which he didn't do. But the point is that Nathan just said that fast offhand. Now, anyone could listen to anybody who has a show, including Bev, on a regular basis, and find something that said offhand that the person saying it, the host of the show, knows everyone that's listening understands, but you could take that statement out of context and make the person seem like they're stupid or seem like they don't know what they're talking about or they're crazy, simple on one simple statement. So the same can be said concerning anyone else, including Bev. Anyone can listen to 2 or 3 of his shows and take one statement that he makes that is just offhand, that is just not, he's not adding a load of bloody memory's gone again. He's not trying to be too strict. He's just speaking offhand, and he knows people understand him. There's no need for specificity. That's what
the people in his panel know what he's talking
Everyone
about.
knows, yeah. So that's what Nathan did. So he attacked Nathan on something that he also does, and I've heard him do, because everyone does it. You can't not do it. It's like attacking someone on going to sleep. Who doesn't go to sleep? You know what I mean? So it was kind of a stupid thing to attack Nathan on. Maybe it was down to Nathan going into the hangout and having out with him about celestial navigation. I don't know. I don't divine in his thoughts, but there was a stupid thing to attack Nathan on, because it doesn't help. What is it, Eli?
I mean, you were super rambling. I was trying to jump in like mad times.
Well, I was talking, and so it must have been that I interrupted in the middle of what I was saying, interrupted the start of what you were saying.
Not rambling
You
at all.
paused, you paused, Neil laughed, and then I started to talk, and you kept going.
Well, in fairness, we can't hear you, Eli, because your mic is so bad. So if I didn't hear you coming in, then I apologise.
I'm glad.
But I still was talking.
Hit him with the
Anyway,
wall.
it
That's
doesn't
his
matter.
point.
Take
I
the
think
floor.
that's his point. But some people like to hear the dulcet tones of an Irishman.
I don't like, because Nathan, you said like in context. No, the guy asked him, "What did Nathan think?" And he said, "Nathan thinks that mountains measure flat."
That's what I heard.
He didn't say what you said. He said, Nathan.
Okay.
So now you're being like, I'm not gonna say it.
Being a Bev sympathizer.
No, not that. You're going around being you're changing people's words.
A politician.
You're saying I'm being apologetic on behalf of Bev? Oh, no. Well, if I am, then that's not intentional.
Hit him with the wall, Chocolate.
If you've got, those people that deliver glass? They've got, a big, massive pane of glass strapped to the side of their truck on a frame. You know what I mean?
Suction cups.
Yeah, with suction cups. You've got it. Well, when it's, against the side of the van, and it's sort of tilting against the van, is that still level? The glass?
No, it's flat, but it's not level.
Is it flat?
It's tilted against the side of the van.
Well, it's on a 45, but the glass itself is still level. If you lay it down
45?
flat.
What kind of van are you driving with glass on it, 45-degree angles?
It's flat, it's not level.
It's at a slight angle. That's not major on the minors, but we're not talking 45-degree angle. It's just at a slight tilt. Very important detail. It's not in the slightest
What's
bit
the
important.
question again, Nathan?
Is it flat? Is it level?
It is flat.
I asked the wrong
level.
question.
It's not level. It's not level.
I ruined that completely, Brian.
You ruined it.
Oh.
It's not level.
You just snatched your own wig off.
I did. That completely ruined my question. The point's been lost.
Wait, no, you contextualized it when you said van, right? So is it flat in relation to the surface of what?
The van. Well, the van's kind of got a curve to it. It's sort of at a tangent.
You guys are numpties, man. You guys are nutties. You're falling for the old Red's rhetoric trick. Didn't I explain this to you back then and a couple times during the nutty clips? You still haven't got it yet?
Oh, and this goes back years with Red's Rhetoric Shelf. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
I still want to know what the
argument for Bev, for his Bev sympathizer.
I must have missed the shows, but what is the constant reference hit him with the wall?
Oh, because Chocolate brought up is the wall level. Just that was his come out the gates argument.
No,
Hit it with the wall.
Well, can the wall have a smooth surface, a textured surface?
I mean, you got mad jokes, but what Nathan just brought up.
No,
Yeah, Nathan just brought up a glass tilted at an angle on a truck.
Yeah,
well, obviously that glass ain't the glass ain't level, right?
Is the glass
That's
flat?
But
it's flat, right?
It's flat. Yeah. He didn't snatch any wigs off. You're fucking mind tricked by Red's rhetoric's argument.
I don't know about all that.
I will have to agree with QE because you're not missing the context of this.
Yeah.
What's the context that I'm missing?
What surface is it in relation to?
What
the context?
Is what in relation?
Right, Nathan's. Well, I'll point it out. You said, "Is the wall flat?" So you're only in reference to that wall, nothing else, right? Is the pane of glass flat when it's tilted on the van? Right? So it's in relation to the van. So no, it's not flat. It's tilted. See?
It's still flat.
I gave too much context.
What?
My little gotcha fell apart because I gave too much context.
Here, let me make it simple. You're confusing surface characteristics with the orientation of the thing. Don't worry about the fucking van. You're confusing them.
Exactly.
Oh, is the wall, back to your other, remember your first one out the gate? You said, is the wall flat?
Okay,
No,
I'll try and bring some clarity. My bad. Okay, we'll, just because we've had it already, we'll keep the van with the glass against it, but it's on a hill. Okay, we all clear?
Was I just fucking
wise guy, Nathan.
What in the hell?
So the van's got the glass aside the van, but it's on a hill with the parking brake on.
No, Nathan, that is a fantastic argument.
Oh, good one. But I want to hear what QE was going to say.
What do you want to hear what I'm going to say? I've already said it fucking years ago. I keep saying it. It's simple. Don't confuse the surface characteristics of an object with the orientation of that object. Duh.
And I'm not. Is that what you're saying I'm doing? Is that what you're saying I'm doing? So the mirror, the glass, the glass on the van is not flat.
The fucking wall.
The fucking surface.
Not the glass.
He's not paying attention,
wall
Chocolate.
Argument you came out with, Chocolate.
Hold on. You're not listening. Just hit him with the wall again.
Oh.
So you ask whether. Go ahead. Ask your question about the wall, Chocolate.
Is the wall flat?
Which wall?
The wall in my warehouse right now.
The wall in your no, it's standing erect. It's not flat.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Well,
there's the end of your argument.
It is flat. I'm sorry. Technically, it is flat. Flat can be orientated in three different directions.
Fucking flat. Define flat.
Flat is without undulations.
Nope. Citation, please.
For flat, I have to go get
Yeah.
one. Well,
yeah.
A flat can be vertical, horizontal, or at a
No,
slope.
it can't. It can't be fucking vertical. I need a definition. Citation, please. Yeah. Of course, I got them all right in front of me.
Well,
Smooth and
I mean,
even, without
you
marked
get
lumps or indentations. Trim the surface of the cake to make it completely flat. That's one definition. Lacking interest of emotion. Well, that's another one. Here's a flat in your conversation.
When
Oh,
you use the word flat in normal language, like if there was a fight and someone punched somebody out, oh, he got flattened by that guy's punch. It doesn't mean he went up and stood up erect on the wall.
Okay.
In or to a horizontal position.
So there's a waitress.
Are y'all
Hold on, hold on.
serious
There's
right
a
I was gonna say that with a flat foot, but then we were laughing at Professor Phil, whatever the other guy's name is, Bob, I think, with his flat head, and that was kind of vertical. So I don't know.
So there's a roller skating waitress, right?
Yep.
And she comes in holding a plate. Right now she's coming in quite fast, maybe at a 45-degree angle. Now, are the pancakes on the plate flat?
I think that's a stacked argument.
Yes.
I refuse to answer.
Good one.
You're just having fun because you're bored, huh, Nathan? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but you could butter that
No,
argument
I
up
just
if you
know
want.
these arguments well and can make gags about them because I've known them for
Okay.
5, 6, 7 years and how stupid they are.
So when my tire in my truck goes flat, what does that mean?
Means it's no longer got any air in it.
Okay, so see, context is everything. But what does it mean when it says it's gone flat?
Lying flat in the ground.
Thank you very much.
You're going to need
What's
a
the
90
ground
for that.
then?
Flat tire.
Okay, from Cambridge Dictionary, flat, level and smooth with no curved, high or hollow parts.
All right, level.
Yeah.
All right, level. Back to Cambridge. Not rising or falling or higher on one side, but even in all directions, horizontal or flat. So, in that definition, horizontal and flat, they're synonymous with level. How can you have something horizontal and vertical and not violate the law of non-contradiction?
You can't.
But a vertical, can we not describe a wall as being flat?
No, the surface of the wall is flat. Its orientation is not, like I fucking came out the gate saying. You
Okay,
guys
yeah,
are
the
Jedi
orientation
mind
is-
tricked by fucking Red's rhetoric. I can't believe that
well,
we're at this
I was-
point right now.
I was the
I
first
wasn't
one
speaking
to
to
point
Red.
out.
Hang on, I wasn't speaking to Red's rhetoric. I haven't. The last time I interacted with him was probably 2015. I don't know what you're talking about.
Talking about the shelf.
His argument. Holy fucking shit.
Okay, let me give context. Hold on. Okay.
1970s.
Red's rhetoric, to my knowledge, is the first to lay this down as an argument with a shelf back in 2015. So the reason QE's saying you've been Jedi mind tricked by Red's rhetoric is because I'm sure there's other people that have laid this down, but to our knowledge, he's the originator of this crappy argument. That's why he's saying it's Red's rhetoric, mine, whatever he said to you.
I remember the shelf nonsense from Red's rhetoric, but I'm not speaking about that.
No, this is the same argument. It's not that you're
Yeah,
speaking
no,
about it. That's what this is.
Well, how am I going to describe the wall?
Wait, are y'all
I
trying
can
to
describe the
straw
surface
man
of the
me?
wall as flat, but I didn't say anything
No.
about orientation. I said the wall can be described as like a vertical can be described as flat. That's what I
Yeah,
said.
but it's crucial, isn't it? So if you're going to describe the surface of...
Okay, it's horizontal.
Yeah, but that's an orientation, isn't it?
Fuck's
So
sake! How am I going to describe a wall to someone in the future? I don't know.
Not fucking horizontal. Tell
I'm
you
not
that
going to
much.
call it horizontal. Fuck's sake, I'm not. Fucking hell.
I love my curved walls and shit.
okay, so we all clear now that it depends what context you're in terms of whether or not you're defining an orientation or not.
I get Kiwi's point.
Good. Thank the Lord.
Have you ever been like saying something
I
and
was the one
realized
getting
that?
straw man out here. I don't know.
Hold on, there's some rejections from chocolate.
I don't know the difference between the surface and the orientation of.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, please.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hold on,
okay.
was that you?
That's why you
Hold
brought
on,
the
I'm
wall.
just getting context. Are you saying Yeah, I don't understand the difference between the surface and the orientation.
No.
Or are you saying it
No,
like,
I do.
are you trying to say that I don't understand it? Which one is it?
The second one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just step back then.
Then why bring the wall up?
Yeah, bring the wall up.
Well, maybe he wants to add texture to the argument.
You got to bring walls down.
So
Well,
no.
you know, I
Why
understand
did you
that.
erect the
There you go,
wall?
Nathan, and masturbators. There's Red's Rhetoric's argument, right there.
I've actually been at a point where I was using an argument and then realized how dumb it was, you know, because the black swan. So I can kind of feel where y'all are at right now.
I think I could add the best response to this.
Who's at right now? Me?
Chocolate. Back in the day.
No. Where
Right,
who's at?
I'll wait.
John. Me?
Why did all this start? What were we talking about?
I'm looking at this.
Level
Some
being
woman looking at a
horizontal.
shelf, going, that doesn't look level.
No.
We were talking about
talking
Beth.
about- And
But
what's
it's
Beth
flat,
say?
Nathan. That's what his argument was. First, he said he went to the surface and he says, "Is the surface flat?" And the person said, "Yes." Then he tilted the shelf and said, "Is the fucking shelf flat? Still flat?" Fucking clown.
Mate, let me add
And
something. to this.
you feel like that's the argument that I'm making. You
You
said-
already made the argument, Chocolate. You said the wall was flat.
So we can't describe anything in it other than level being flat. So the mirror is not the mirror in my house is not flat.
Oh,
The
here we
wall
go.
that I'm
Doing it
staring at.
again, Chocolate. You're doing it again.
Obviously, there's a difference between the orientation and the surface. You don't think I know that? Like, I don't understand you guys.
Then why'd you make the argument about the wall being flat?
Chocolate. Let me jump in here. I was trying to say something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had the call come in. So I used to hang wallpaper. And many times we'd go into a home and there'd be like 5, and the most I ever saw was 12, believe it or not. 12 layers of wallpaper on top of each other. That many times. Well, we have to take it off. Well, you get a pressurized air tank and put water, warm water and soap, like Joy dish soap, so it could bubble up and stay on the wall because it's vertical. The orientation of the wall is vertical. So we'd spray it. Then we'd go in with a spatula and start taking it off. Well, by the time you were done, the wall was in shatters. I mean, you run your hand across it and it wasn't flat. So we
So
go
you're talking
by.
about a wall that's not flat. Okay.
Let me finish. Well, that's because it was damaged by taking off wallpaper. It was initially flat. Then by the time you put on 6 layers of wallpaper and then you have to take it off.
Wait, it was initially flat?
Let me finish my statement, please. So then we would take putty and we'd fill in the gaps and the gouges that we made. Then we would sand it. Then we would get something called blank stock. And we'd hang that first, so that when we hung the new wallpaper to the eye, it would not have the undulations that if you laid it on a vertical surface with gouges. So we did our best to give it a smooth surface.
Smooth, correct.
That's all we do. And Neil does it with the floor when he does tile, same thing. Or else you're going to feel it. You're going to touch it. You're going to run your hands on it and say, oh, someone didn't do a good job here. This isn't smooth on your wall. So when QE is saying orientation, that's the context to everything. If you turn the house sideways, that wall becomes the floor now. Is it still flat? Well, yeah. I mean, it's got a smooth surface, so it's flat. But in the initial judgment, it was vertical. So the orientation is a vertical wall that has smooth surfaces, as much as possible resembling flat. But it's not flat in the sense of sea level. You understand? I know you do, so I'm not trying to say you don't, but
That was well said.
Well,
No, I know chocolate knows this. It's not, it's
I was
not
going to
anything he
say
doesn't
you're
know.
not really asking me if I really understand what you just said.
That's what I'm saying. I know you know.
So here's where the problem actually is. With Bev, right? Not you, Chocolate. With Bev. Bev has a problem saying that the earth is flat, but as QE just read the definition of level, flat was in there. Now, everybody's talking about context because the context of a flat earth is the 0 on the protractor. That's what flat means. Flat is synonymous with
know.
that 0, with the horizontal.
Yeah.
So what's Bev's problem?
He doesn't want to be called a flat earther. That's as far as I know. That's what his problem is.
Do any of us call him a flat earther?
I don't really see that as a problem. No.
Do any of us call him a flat earther?
No, I don't.
Why are you bringing it up to us?
I honestly, I didn't want to bring any of that up. All I was doing at the beginning of this conversation was giving him props that his argument is driving the globe is nuts without having to claim to be a flat earther. That's simple as that.
And
Y'all want to go into all this shit.
And here's my rebuttal. He doesn't have a fucking argument. He's got an axiom.
Okay, so then his axiom is driving the ball is crazy.
It's not his axiom. People don't own axioms. Follow? That's the problem. And then I said he was retarded, and you said don't attack the man. And I said I wasn't. I said that for, you know me better than that. You know I got cause behind that shit, right? You want to hear some cause?
Yeah, but in the context of that particular conversation, there was a necessity for that. Come on. I'm just
still a
being
retard.
real with y'all.
Overall, generally, he's a retard. That's my argument.
Okay.
You want to know why? You want some cowbell with that?
I do.
Well, it doesn't
Here's
really
his
matter.
Lotus. Here. Go ahead. Were you going to interrupt again?
Well, it was me. I was going to say, I guess it doesn't really matter whether he's retarded or not. It's like, I guess the whole point is, if the guy wants to say he's a pink pig fairy, so what? Like, it drives the ball is nuts. Like, I guess your problem is Chocolate saying it's an argument. A truism isn't an argument. It's just something that everybody knows. Like, but sometimes he takes what he knows and he juxtaposes it against a straw man against us for no reason, which is why everyone feels like they have to talk about him in this way, because he's upsetting sometimes.
Don't let it bother you.
I don't. I enjoy it.
Hit him with the wall, Chocolate.
Wall him.
Well, before QE reads what he's got, I just want to say I've observed Nathan plug Bev's channel, send people to Bev's channel, tell them that Bev's killing the ballers with his water level arguments, and why that's not being reciprocated.
I said that
is
earlier.
beyond,
I agree.
is beyond me when we are saying pretty much with our arguments and coming to the same conclusion as his. That part I don't understand. Again, I have nothing personal against Bev or the crew there. I like them. But this is a dilemma in the fact that I've noticed Nathan plug them. In fact, Bev comes here, or did, and say, hey, we're going to have this show. And then we all go watch it because he came here and Nathan gave him time on air. Is the same being done the other way? And if not, why not?
Tried.
I want to hear an attempt at logic, is what I want to hear.
You knew where I was going with this, didn't you, John?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So this is Bev's replacement for the Black Swan. You ready? His modus tollens. Shocking. He got a modus tollens. Probably the first time he's ever heard it in his life when I brought it up. Mr. Logic guy. Here it is. If the Earth is a spherical object, P, then the surface of liquid water must curve, Q. A water level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference. Therefore, not Q. Not Q, therefore, not P. That fucking guy is a retard. Brr. You got me, sunshine. That's one. You want some more?
Yes, please.
Nah, let it go. Good thing I wrote that down when he said it.
I agree with Tent. That's my whole point with this whole thing with Bev.
Want me to say it again?
Yeah, one more time.
If the Earth is a spherical object P, this is his modus tollens now. If the Earth is a spherical object P, then the surface of liquid water must curve Q. A water level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference, therefore not Q. Not Q, therefore not P.
That's another level of intelligence there. Supposed to say I rest my case.
Right. Is it time to round out?
Well, no, well, hang on.
Logically, it's inconsequential.
Well, the modus tollens that we have has to do with their claim of an Earth with a radius and the horizon being Earth curve.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
see
why I
how
was saying it's
anyone.
inconsequential. His P don't even. Anyway.
No, what I'm saying is we're taking on the globe's claim of Earth being spherical with a radius, and we're saying, fine, we'll give it to you in the modus tollens. If it's this, then this can be no further than this, saying that this is your claim, and they have to agree. And I don't see how anybody has an argument to say that's bad or we shouldn't use that. I don't get it.
I don't think we should walk away from what QE just said. I don't think we should step away from that and talk about the Black Swan. I think we just, because I couldn't respond to it because I was giggling.
Well, elaborate what you're giggling about, please.
I would elaborate on the modus tollens or modus ponens or tollens, sorry, that Bev that Bev formulated. I'd say it different. I'd say I would make a modus ponens out of it. It's like if P water levels establish a horizontal, then Q the Earth cannot be a sphere. P water levels do establish horizontal, so Q the Earth cannot be a sphere. Something like that,
that's
maybe.
Lovely. That's
That's
not
a lot
his.
better.
Not his, no.
I understood that one.
You're trying to put logic to that, though. Like you're trying to take what you think he means in that and formulate it into something reasonable. Is what you're doing right now. Maybe
Yeah,
QE should say it again.
You want me to say it again?
Yeah, third time's a charm.
If the Earth is a spherical, this is Beb's horse shit, not mine. So his modus tollens. If the Earth is a spherical object P, then the surface of liquid water must curve Q. A water level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference, therefore not Q. Not Q, therefore not P. Oh, that's verbatim, by the way, right out of his pie hole. He's Mr. Logic too, right? Fucker didn't even know how to spell logic before he heard modus tollens. So now he's Mr. fucking Logic in and his group of idiot retards are all logical. Fucking clown show.
You ever watch that? Do you watch Mind Shock at all, or did you just see the fallacy counting he did with Dave and Dave's debate?
Yeah, I had a summary of that. 1 second. I wrote back. Yeah, Adam sent it to me. Here's my summary.
I just subscribed to that channel. Is it good?
It's very good. So in that interview,
I don't know. I thought I was just fucking talking. Was I just talking or not?
Well, he asked
when I said, "Here's my summary."
Of the video
after
from
that, or do you think my conversation was over?
From the video from YouTuber Mindshock, subscribe today. He'll be so grateful we plugged his channel. It's such a.
I want to hear what QE has to say.
Nobody appears to.
I'm waiting.
Here's my summary. After, when I was talking, I said, "Here's my summary." So something was going to immediate follow after that. Here was the summary I gave for just not his channel, just that one video with Dave and Professor Dave. So number one, the host is not that sharp. He's missing and mislabeling logical fallacies. Number two, his video has entirely too many frigging ads. Number three, the host thinks Wits It Gets It is a logical guru who knows how to identify logical fallacies. Shaking my fucking head. Number four, what the fuck was the host's explanation debunking the clockwise, counterclockwise star rotation train wreck of a dumpster fire? It's like listening to drunken Elmer Fudd explaining brain surgery. I'm out. P.S. He also sounds like Joe Pesci on Helium.
What?
Yeah, I think that's like a vocal coder, but yeah, he's not perfect, but he is still very good.
So yeah, subscribe today.
Wait a second. He said Wits It was logical?
Who cares? See, look, now, you weren't ready to critique him until it was attached to some kind of relationship. That's weak. Stop doing that. Focus on the information.
If he said Wits It is logical, then he's a moron.
Well, yeah, but still, his content is good, especially for, will I say it's foundational? It's a start. It's a start. It's a start.
Are you saying Neil's critique or my critique was based on that?
No,
about me.
When Neil said, "Oh, with it, blah blah blah," I'm sure that following that is, I don't want to hear anything he has to say.
No, I'll still listen, and I didn't say that. I said he said Wits It is logical.
Well, it could be that something Wits It said can be logical, but we've heard Wits It say some things that aren't logical.
That's what I'm saying. That doesn't really matter. Like, his videos are like 2 years old. Like, it was at a time that the critiques we would be making today, we wouldn't have known about we wouldn't have had them to make back then. Unless you actually had in-depth conversations with him, right? So, but all I'm saying,
you know what this
Mindstock guy is, he points out that most people, especially in academia, make really bad arguments with fallacious logic. And he points it out. He's not always correct. And even sometimes in his videos, he actually commits the fallacies that he's pointing out when he's either, anyway.
You know what this after show reminds me of is things we've seen in the past, whether dramatized or occurring in our own family or friends or relationships, is that you think someone has your back and you think someone has the same view of life because you've spent the last 20 years with them. And all of a sudden you hear him say something and right to his face, you're saying, what? Come on now. I've known you 20 years. How in the world can you say that? You've been logical up until this point. We've had many tests and arguments that we've worked through, and we pretty much eye to eye. But how can you say that? Now we're at this point with different flat Earth groups or non-flat Earth groups who don't like the word flat Earth for whatever reason, and it's like they can be on our side on some arguments, but then they decide they're not on our side on other arguments. But we're doing the same thing to them when Whitsitt and Jaron and them come out and use their arguments for the ether, which they say they can't see or prove, and then say stuff that it's non-material, but it's there. And we say, fine, how'd you come up with that? All of a sudden there's a division. Well, something's going on here. Not everyone's going to agree on everything. And whether you like them or not, you still got to call out the falsehood. And I think that's what we do here. So it doesn't mean they're wrong on everything, but they're false on what they just said. And here's why. And then an attitude begins. And then that attitude says, well, I'm not playing golf with you again, or I'm not going to come to Christmas at your house again. I mean, it's just so similar to life.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows that I won't be subscribing and listening to that guy's channel after listening to what QE's assessment of it, because QE knows logic. No. I just want to throw that out there. And QE was correct earlier when I said a wall is flat. It can be described, the surface of it as flat, but technically flat and level are synonymous. So I was wrong.
You see that there? That's humility.
Poison the well, QE, with the poison from the same person. But nonetheless, it is a good channel. It's something that'll get people thinking about, because what he says about logic, I mean, it's something similar to what I say about, like, well, if you're not a weightlifter, you can't lift above your means. It's the same thing with thinking. It takes time. He also admitted that he just really started doing this in practice. So he's going to make the same kinds of mistakes actually that I would make. But if I were to make a channel, it would begin just like that. Would I be subject to criticism? Sure. Would it help me grow? I would believe so, because I would look at the reasoning if there was a critique that was justifiable, and I'd say, okay, thank you for educating me, because I don't want to continue saying something that's wrong. So let's raise up this guy's channel, and perhaps if we said, hey, because he says things like, he has like good arguments that would go with heliocentrism. He just doesn't understand why all of the people that come out and argue don't do that. So I mean, we could open the lines of communication and actually bring this thing forward in a positive way that allows for all of us to, speak about these things.
Eli, we had one attempt of an emissary for the Ethereans, and we know how that ended. You want to volunteer to be the emissary?
How did that end?
I was talking.
Well, you said we know how that ended.
Do you want to volunteer to be the emissary to this guy's channel?
Already asked me that. You already asked me that. That's ridiculous.
Why did I ask you that? I just brought it up for the first time.
And then I started talking, and then you said I wasn't done, and then repeated yourself.
Oh, God.
I want to back up Eli on something.
Hang on, let me say something before you go. Well, okay, I never got finished with my statement. I wanted to give Brian kudos, because if the Berlin Wall was flat, there would be no Iron Curtain.
How did we get away from the modus tollens? Because I made my own modus tollens, just because, like, Bev has inspired me. And it is, if you put bread in a toaster and it creates toast, P, therefore Q. I use a cheese grater to grate cheese, therefore the cheese grater is not a toaster.
Very good.
Absolutely epic. Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
I don't see the problem.
Bravo. Yeah, because why am I laughing? Because that equals what Bev said.
Or seems perfectly logical.
He put a red herring fallacy in the middle of his train wreck. It's not a modus tollens because the form is all fucked up. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah,
it starts out as a
Y'all
modus
didn't get
tollens, but it
that.
doesn't end up as one.
Right, that's going to be where I
Anyway,
round out.
I got it. Anyway, hold on. I got a good title for the show. Guess what it is?
Go
Hit him with the wall, Chuck.
hit him with the wall.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, when is Melba
Could have bet
toast?
money
not
you were
toast?
going to say that.
Well, with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!